Chapter 456. Mrs. Ping burst into tears when she saw her son. The mother and son were talking on the phone through the bulletproof glass. Mrs. Ping's son could never imagine that his mother had become a murderer. What should he do? What should his mother do? What should the family do? Could he continue his studies? What if his classmates found out that his mother was a murderer? Too many thoughts struck Mrs. Ping's son's mind. "Mom, why did you do this?" Mrs. Ping just cried and didn't speak. She refused to say anything. Ning Shu glanced at Zhang Jiasen next to him. What a good trick. He could even pry open a dead person's mouth, let alone a living person. Ning Shu turned and left. Zhang Jiasen followed Ning Shu out of the police station. Ning Shu suddenly turned to Zhang Jiasen and said, "Jiasen, I might not be able to manage the company anymore." Zhang Jiasen was a little surprised. This woman was full of vigor before. Why did she suddenly give up? Zhang Jiasen narrowed his eyes and bent down slightly to look into Ning Shu's eyes. He asked, "What's wrong? Why is my little wife suddenly so dispirited?" Ning Shu, "Ugh, I just feel tired. I feel like I'm not cut out for this. Dad's health is not good, so I want to stay at home to take care of him. The company is really too tiring." Zhang Jiasen laughed. His laughter seemed to vibrate from his chest, sounding very deep and sexy. "That's good. We can have a cute baby." Ning Shu ignored the words, "have a baby," and said, "I want to give you the position of general manager of the company." "I can't do it. It's better for you to do it." Zhang Jiasen's expression was a little dull. He reacted in an instant. He touched Ning Shu's head and said dotingly, "The position of general manager is very important. How can you give it away so easily?" Zhang Jiasen reached out and held Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu could feel his hand trembling slightly. But he said, "You silly girl. Everything you do is temporary." His heart clearly wanted it, but his mouth said such hypocritical words. His body was much more honest than his mouth. He was so excited that he was trembling. Ning Shu said, "Of course I'm telling the truth. Get ready to take over the position of general manager." Seeing the joy in Zhang Jiasen's eyes, Ning Shu sneered in his heart. "Are you serious?" Zhang Jiasen said helplessly, "Work is not a game. How can it be so casual? This company belongs to my family. What's wrong with that?" Ning Shu was very domineering. After getting Ning Shu's assurance, Zhang Jiasen was very happy and became very attentive to Ning Shu. Every day, he would send and receive Ning Shu to and from work. Then, he would hear from Ning Shu that he liked tulips and would get a bunch of tulips every morning. Ning Shu stayed at her parents' house. Zhang Jiasen did not mention anything about letting Ning Shu go back. Zhang Jiasen's mother also did not appear in front of Ning Shu. Zhang Jiasen obviously knew that his wife did not like his mother. He did not let his mother hang around in front of Ning Shu anymore. Zhang Jiasen's mother could be domineering because she gave birth to such a capable son. She would have to rely on Zhang Jiasen for the rest of her life. So, she would do whatever Zhang Jiasen said. Ning Shu suddenly admired Zhang Jiasen. This man was really flexible. In order to succeed, he could grit his teeth and bear the pain. Zhang Jiasen finally succeeded, but Zhang Jiasen was ruthless and stingy. He lacked a kind of boldness. Zhang Jiasen did this because he wanted to quickly take over the position of general manager. Every time they saw this scumbag in front of their daughter, the Miao couple was about to explode with anger. Their minds were full of scenes of Zhang Jiasen rolling with other women. If it wasn't for his daughter stopping him, Miao's father would have killed this bastard. However, his daughter did not allow him to intervene. Miao's father pretended that he did not know anything. On one hand, it was out of consideration for his daughter. On the other hand, it was inexplicably pleasing to see this ingrate being so affectionate and considerate to his daughter. The Miao couple no longer regarded Zhang Jiasen as their son-in-law. Although Ning Shu promised to let Zhang Jiasen be the general manager, he refused to step down from the position. This made Zhang Jiasen very angry. Even if it was a carrot that was dropped in front of him, Zhang Jiasen must get it. This had always been his purpose. Ning Shu could naturally see Zhang Jiasen's anxiety. Sometimes, Zhang Jiasen's eyes were filled with uncontrollable malice and resentment. Ning Shu also got what he wanted. He found the design that was stolen by Zhang Jiasan's brother-in-law, Tan Hiu. It was found by the intern secretary that Ning Shu sent to Shui Manman's side. When it was found, it was shredded into pieces by a shredder. Ning Shu spent a lot of time piecing the shredded pieces together. These things were indeed in Zhang Jiasan's hands. As for Shui Manman, she did not have the ability to do such a thing. She was just a daughter flower that relied on men. Zhang Jiasan, how cold-hearted he was to put his brother-in-law into this. Perhaps Tan Hiu was too much of a bastard and Zhang Jiasan took the opportunity to teach him a lesson? In short, Zhang Jiasan was a man with deep thoughts. Ning Shu was more fortunate that he did not directly fall out with Zhang Jiasan. Instead, he collected evidence of Zhang Jiasan's crimes in private. If he rashly confronted Zhang Jiasan, Ning Shu did not think that he could win against Zhang Jiasan. He might even let Zhang Jiasan take a piece of meat from the Miao family. The mansion and real estate were all Zhang Jiasan's. With these things, Zhang Jiasan had a foothold. Ning Shu let out a long sigh of relief. It was just that pretending to be polite with Zhang Jiasan was simply disgusting. Perhaps Zhang Jiasan also felt the same. They hated each other, but they still had to love each other. Ning Shu expressed that his heart was very tired. However, Ning Shu still fulfilled his promise and let Zhang Jiasan be the general manager. He also set a date for Zhang Jiasan to take over as the general manager. Zhang Jiasan thought that becoming the general manager was a distant dream. Suddenly, it was realized. Even with Zhang Jiasan's calmness, he was a bit dazed. Then he kissed Ning Shu's forehead. "Wife, you are so good." Ning Shu smiled at Zhang Jiasan with a twisted face. "It's okay, it's okay." Then he wiped his forehead without leaving a trace. If his face was stained with saliva, he would get ringworm. Zhang Jiasan seemed to be completely relieved. If they really found out something, Miao Ji would not let him become the general manager. Although Aunt Ping in the police station was a bit troublesome, Zhang Jiasan was very calm and steady. Ning Shu did not know what tricks Zhang Jiasan had up his sleeves. What exactly did Zhang Jiasan have on Aunt Ping that made Aunt Ping rather bear the crime of murder than say anything? Zhang Jiasan was a person who was used to using other people's weaknesses to achieve his own goals. Ning Shu's goal was to make Zhang Jiasan lose everything and be unable to turn over a new leaf until he died. If Zhang Jiasan wanted to be outstanding, then he would cut off his path to success. Chapter 457. Shui Manman walked in and saw Zhang Jiasan kissing Miao Miao Miao's forehead. Her face turned pale and she looked at Zhang Jiasan in a daze. Zhang Jiasan saw Shui Manman rushing into the office so rashly with such a sorrowful expression. Wasn't she going to expose herself in front of Miao Miao Miao? He would be the general manager soon, so he couldn't make any mistakes. Zhang Jiasan was very dissatisfied with Shui Manman's behavior. He felt that Shui Manman didn't know what was going on. Ning Shu turned around and saw Shui Manman. She looked as if she had been betrayed, which made Ning Shu feel awkward. "Can you not be so obvious?" "It's so obvious that I can't pretend not to see it." Ning Shu's gaze landed on Shui Manman's earlobes. She was wearing a pair of exquisite earrings with tiny diamonds inlaid on them. As Shui Manman moved, the earrings gave off a soft light. "Secretary Shui, these earrings aren't cheap. They're the latest from Tiffany," Ning Shu said with a smile. His gaze moved to Shui Manman's feet. "This pair of shoes is from Ferragamo. Secretary Shui's family background must be very good. Why are you a secretary?" Shui Manman quickly touched the earring with her hand and saw Zhang Jiasan's cold face. Obviously, she knew that Zhang Jiasan was angry. She quickly said, "This isn't real. It's an imitation." Ning Shu smiled and didn't say anything. Can't she tell the difference between real and fake? "Yours are real. Why do you say they're imitation?" Ning Shu walked in front of Shui Manman. Shui Manman panicked and took 2 steps back. Ning Shu covered his mouth and laughed. Shui Manman looked like she was going to do something to him. "Secretary Shui, are you afraid of me?" She was so guilty. No, Shui Manman stuttered and looked at Zhang Jiasan helplessly. Zhang Jiasan waved at Shui Manman and asked her to leave. Ning Shu said, "Your secretary must have something to tell you. I'll leave first." "Okay, be careful on the road," Zhang Jiasun said gently to Ning Shu. Shui Man watched from the side, biting her lips so hard that it almost bled. When Ning Shu left, the gentle expression on Zhang Jiasun's face disappeared and turned cold. He looked at Shui Man coldly and said, "Don't wear these things in the company anymore. Miao 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 is a rich girl and she knows these things. I don't want anything to happen at such a critical time. At least before I become the general manager, I don't want Miao 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 to know about our relationship." Shui Man pursed her lips and looked sad. "I feel sad when I see how well you treat Miao Miao Miao. Have you really fallen in love with Miao 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 and want to live happily with her?" Hearing Shui Man's words, Zhang Jiasun was in a daze for a moment. To be honest, Miao 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 was an innocent and kind girl. She didn't lack anything since she was young and grew up in a honey pot. On the other hand, Zhang Jiasun grew up in bitter water and crawled on the thorny road to success. Zhang Jiasun was jealous of Miao Miao Miao. In front of the innocent Miao Miao Miao, he was a person tainted by the secular world. His heart carried too many things. Even if he liked Shui Man, it was because he was the same kind of person as Shui Man. Miao Miao Miao's beauty made people want to destroy her. In the end, Zhang Jiasun pulled Miao 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 into hell and made her lose everything. "You really fell in love with Miao Miao Miao?" Seeing that Zhang Jiasun didn't speak, Shui Man took it as a yes. Tears welled up in Shui Man's eyes. She raised her head and didn't let the tears fall. In the end, the tears still fell. Zhang Jiasun sighed and wiped away the tears on Shui Man's face. He said gently, "No, I don't like Miao Miao Miao. I like you the way you are. I can tell you with certainty that I have never liked Miao Miao Miao." Shui Man smiled through her tears. Her eyes were gentle and affectionate. "I don't care about status. I just want to be with you." "I know." Zhang Jiasun took a deep breath. Zhang Jiasun was appointed as the general manager a few days later. It was announced by Ning Shu in front of the company's higher-ups that Zhang Jiasun was appointed as the general manager. In the office, Ning Shu sat on the sofa and watched Zhang Jiasun slowly buttoning Chen San's wrists. Then he put on his suit jacket. It was like an emperor who was about to ascend the throne wearing a dragon robe. Zhang Jiasun was in high spirits today. He had wax on his hair. He looked very energetic and serious. His whole body was filled with an elite aura. It was also very charming. Now, Zhang Jiasun had taken the first step to success. Zhang Jiasun saw that Ning Shu was looking at him and asked, "Is this outfit okay?" Ning Shu stood up and adjusted Zhang Jiasun's tie. "Very good." Zhang Jiasun reached out and held Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu said, "I am really happy now. I feel that this is the happiest time of my life. Miao Miao, we will always be happy. We will have our own children. On weekends, in the garden, we will watch the children play. We will be a happy family." Zhang Jiasun had a smile on his face. It was as if he was imagining and looking forward to that kind of life. His tone became more sincere. "I want to hold your hand and grow old together." Ning Shu was speechless. Was he imagining her as Shui Man? Grow old together? You want to grow old together with Shui Man, right? Ha! Stop being so disgusting. Ning Shu put on a fake smile and said indifferently, "Of course we can grow old together." Zhang Jiasun said eagerly, "Miao Miao, I am serious. I am sincere." There was really no end to it. It was enough to act once. What was the point of repeating it over and over again? Ning Shu chuckled. He raised his wrist and looked at it. "The meeting is about to start. Miao Miao." Zhang Jiasun wanted to say something, but when he saw Ning Shu's indifferent expression, he swallowed his words. Zhang Jiasun seemed to be a little nervous. After all, he wanted to get what he wanted. Zhang Jiasun walked back and forth in the office. Ning Shu drank water indifferently. He was in a completely different state from Zhang Jiasun, who was suppressing his excitement and anxiety. "Manager, the department manager is in the meeting room." Shui Man pushed the door open and said to Zhang Jiasun. Ning Shu looked at Shui Man and sized her up. He realized that Shui Man didn't have any branded clothes on her body. She also had ordinary earrings on her ears. Her shoes were no longer branded. After removing all the branded clothes on her body, Ning Shu said with a smile, Secretary Shui, the brooch you wore last time was pretty good. Why aren't you wearing it anymore? Secretary Shui's face turned pale. She then said calmly, I borrowed it from a friend. I have already returned it. Ning Shu replied with an, oh. You go to the meeting room first. We will be there soon. Zhang Jiasen helped Secretary Shui out. Shui Man hurriedly went out. Ning Shu sneered. How shameless. Chapter 458. Zhang Jiasen saw that Ning Shu kept paying attention to the brands on Shui Man and wondered if she knew something. Actually, Secretary Shui's family background is not bad. It's normal for her to have some brands. Zhang Jiasen said, Meow meow, I want to give you a gift. Zhang Jiasen took out a jewelry box from the box and opened it. There was a diamond necklace inside. The workmanship was very exquisite. Zhang Jiasen's face was gentle. I bought this especially for you. Ning Shu said faintly, You are the general manager. Why are you giving me a gift? Meow meow, I used half a year's salary to buy this for you. Last time, you said that Secretary Shui had a lot of brands on her. This time, I also bought a brand for you. Zhang Jiasen said gently to Ning Shu. Meow meow, do you like it? Ning Shu looked at the diamond necklace. This kind of diamond necklace was the style of wearing a dress to attend a banquet. It would be exaggerated to wear it normally. This was not the style that Meow 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 liked. Therefore, Ning Shu did not believe that Zhang Jiasen bought this necklace for her. Maybe he bought it for Shui Man, but now he gave it to her. Do you want me to help you put it on? Zhang Jiasen asked Ning Shu. No need. Ning Shu shook her head and closed the jewelry box and placed it on the table. Ning Shu's indifferent attitude made Zhang Jiasen feel frustrated. If Shui Man received this gift, she would be very happy. However, Meow Meow Meow's attitude made Zhang Jiasen depressed. He felt that he could not show any value in front of Meow 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 because Meow 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 had everything. She did not care at all. Ning Shu saw the hurt expression on Zhang Jiasen's face and did not care at all. Hurt? Who are you trying to show this to? Ning Shu and Zhang Jiasen entered the meeting room one after the other. Ning Shu did not say much and went straight to the point. Zhang Jiasen will be the general manager of the company. He will be responsible for the company's business and development. Today, Ning Shu's father didn't come because he wasn't feeling well. Everyone looked at each other, wondering if Ning Shu was joking or not. Everyone, don't doubt me. From today onwards, I will be appointed as the general manager. I hope that I will work hard with my colleagues to make the company stronger, Zhang Jiasen said in a low voice. Hearing Zhang Jiasen's words, everyone applauded. Ning Shu looked at all of this in silence. The atmosphere was more enthusiastic than when she was the general manager. Obviously, these people recognized Zhang Jiasen more than Ning Shu. Ning Shu was not angry. She had to protect this company and get rid of some of the parasites in the company. Zhang Jiasen could embezzle money from a luxurious mansion. How could he become so rich in 2 years if he did not have any accomplices or subordinates in the company to support him? Zhang Jiasen gave an impassioned speech and ended the meeting in a pleasant atmosphere. Zhang Jiasen, who was a little nervous before, was now completely relieved. He had become the general manager of the company. The next step was to take control of the company. Even the chairman would be a mere figurehead. Ning Shu just looked at the complacent Zhang Jiasen silently. Soon, very soon, Ning Shu and Zhang Jiasen returned to the office. When they opened the door, they saw Shui Man holding a jewelry box, which was placed on the table by Ning Shu. Seeing that Ning Shu and Zhang Jiasen had returned, Shui Man quickly closed the box and put it on the table. I saw this box on the table and picked it up to have a look, Shui Man quickly said. Ning Shu asked, Is this your jewelry? Ning Shu looked at Zhang Jiasen and said with some bad intentions, Jiasen gave it to me. Shui Man's face changed. She quickly looked at Zhang Jiasen for confirmation. Zhang Jiasen ignored Shui Man's gaze. Ning Shu picked up the jewelry box and said to Zhang Jiasen, I'm going to accompany Dad for a checkup. You should pay more attention to the company. Okay, be careful on the road. Zhang Jiasen said gently. He even opened the office door for Ning Shu and said again, Be careful on the road. Ning Shu said to Shui Man, Secretary Shui, I'm leaving. Please take care. Shui Manman's voice was trembling. Ning Shu saw Shui Manman's pale face and the smile on her face. Seeing Shui Manman's pained look, he was secretly happy. As soon as Ning Shu left, Shui Manman's face fell. Especially when she saw Zhang Jiasun treat Miao 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 so well, it made Shui Manman panic. Especially when Zhang Jiasun gave Miao 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 the necklace that should have been given to her. Jiasun. Shui Manman looked at Zhang Jiasun with watery eyes and an uncontrollable affection. Zhang Jiasun was originally happy about the promotion, but seeing Shui Manman's sad face, he rubbed his eyebrows and said, "Give this necklace to Miao 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 first. I'll buy another one for you tomorrow." Shui Manman shook her head and said, "I don't care about the necklace. I want this necklace because I want to attend various events with you and be able to stand side by side with you. What I care about is your attitude towards Miao Miao Miao. Why are you so good to her?" Hearing Shui Manman's question, Zhang Jiasun's eyebrows flashed with impatience and gloominess. He said, "I've been good to Miao 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 in the past. You also know that it's just a show. You didn't say it before, so why do you keep saying it now? Miao 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 is just a chess piece. In the past, I could still tolerate it. But now, as long as I see you being good to Miao Miao Miao, my heart will feel uncomfortable. I'm jealous that Miao 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 can stand by your side and stand by your side openly. But as for me, I can only watch the man I like be good to someone else and be someone else's husband." Shui Manman was so uncomfortable that she couldn't control herself. Her body trembled slightly as if she was extremely uncomfortable. Zhang Jiasun sighed and said firmly, "You have to believe me. I have no feelings for Miao Miao Miao. When I completely control the Miao family, we'll get married." Hearing Zhang Jiasun's promise, Shui Manman's heart flashed with gloominess. "How long do I have to wait?" Miao 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 reached out and wrapped her arms around Zhang Jiasun's waist. "I just want to stay by your side, Jiasun. Without you I'll die." This was in the office. Zhang Jiasun had always avoided any intimate actions with Shui Manman in public. But when she cried and wet his shirt, Zhang Jiasun's heart softened. In the end, he didn't push Shui Manman away. This was the reason why Zhang Jiasun liked Shui Manman. He felt the value of his existence from Shui Manman. Shui Manman worshipped him, respected him, and adored him. It wasn't like when he was facing Miao Miao Miao. The halo behind Miao 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 made him unable to breathe. Zhang Jiasun was a male chauvinist. In the past few years in the company, people said that he was relying on women to get to where he was today. Zhang Jiasun remembered these words in his heart. Chapter 459. Zhang Jiasun knew that he was just a poor boy from the countryside. In this big city, he had no capital and no connections. Even if he worked hard in this city for a lifetime, he would not be able to take root. Without these external material conditions, love was a joke. Zhang Jiasun could only take the unconventional path and pay some price to survive in this city. His family's expectations and his desire to succeed were all reasons that made Zhang Jiasun use his advantages. With a cornerstone, he could step on the cornerstone and climb even higher. Marrying a woman could save him 20 years of hard work. Even if people in the company called him a freeloader, he would endure it. One day, he would be able to wash away this humiliation. Zhang Jiasun held Shui Manman in his arms. With these external conditions, he would love her even more. Without the position of general manager, Ning Shu accompanied Miao's father to the hospital for a checkup. She usually boiled soup for Miao's father. She was completely like a housewife. Miao Ying's father looked at Ning Shu's carefree expression and said with disappointment, "What are you doing, girl? Don't tell me you can't bear to let that kid go? You even gave him the position of general manager. He must be dreaming." Ning Shu held a pair of scissors in her hand and cut the lily leaves. She asked Miao's mother, "Mom, can I cut it like this?" Miao's mother glanced at her and nodded. She said, "Miao Miao, what's your attitude towards Zhang Jiasun? He cheated our family by cheating and embezzling the company's money." "Mom, I know what I'm doing. Let me handle this. If I can't handle it, Dad, you can do it." Ning Shu put the lily into the vase leisurely. Miao's father looked at Ning Shu and laughed. "Very good. Like father, like daughter. What about Zhang Jiasun's secretary?" Miao's mother looked at Ning Shu. Do you want to drive her out of the company? Ning Shu smiled and shook her head. It's okay. Let her stay in the company. It's not good to drive her out. Ning Shu already had a plan in mind, and this plan needed Shui Man Man. He had to spit out everything that he had eaten from the Miao family. Occasionally, Ning Shu would go to the company and see that Zhang Jiasun was very busy. If he was not busy signing documents, he was busy holding meetings and giving advice. Zhang Jiasun no longer had that gloomy aura around him. Instead, he exuded an incomparable confidence. Zhang Jiasun's temperament seemed to have become even more powerful. The current Zhang Jiasun was simply a radiating charm. Even Shui Man Man's gaze towards Zhang Jiasun was filled with admiration and unswerving devotion. This was the attractiveness of a successful man to a woman. It was probably because she hadn't been in the company recently. Then, Shui Man Man started to wear branded clothes again. For example, the scarf around her neck. Shui Man Man was really vain. Even when she was at work, she still wore these things without a trace. Haha. Perhaps these things would soon become Shui Man Man's death talisman. When Zhang Jiasun saw that Ning Shu had arrived, he stopped what he was doing and sent Shui Man Man out. Shui Man Man hesitated for a moment before leaving. Miao Miao, why are you here? Zhang Jiasun asked Ning Shu. Ning Shu said, I just came to see you. You seem to be very busy. Well, I just took over these things. I'm a little busy. Zhang Jiasun grabbed Ning Shu's hand and said, I'm sorry. I've been busy recently and neglected you. When we get familiar with these things, we'll have a baby. Bang. A clear sound of a porcelain cup falling to the ground was heard. Ning Shu turned his head and saw that Shui Man Man was coming in with coffee. However, the coffee fell to the ground. Obviously, she heard Zhang Jiasun say that they were going to have a baby. She was so flustered that she spilled the coffee. Zhang Jiasun's face darkened when he saw this scene. Shui Man Man bit her lips and squatted down to pick up the pieces of the cup on the ground. Her face was extremely pale, as if she had been hit hard. Well, just ask the cleaner to clean it up. Zhang Jiasun saw that Shui Man Man couldn't control her emotions at all, so he hurriedly sent her away. Ning Shu said with a smile, It's okay. It's just a broken cup. This scene was really comfortable to watch. Well, especially when Zhang Jiasun bullied Shui Man Man. Ning Shu glanced at Shui Man Man, who was squatting down to pick up the pieces. It seemed that she didn't hear Zhang Jiasun's words at all. Shui Man Man, who was in a trance, was pricked by a piece of glass. A drop of blood immediately appeared on her finger. Zhang Jiasun took a deep breath and said to Shui Man Man in a stern voice, Get out and ask the cleaner to clean it up. Shui Man Man was stunned by Zhang Jiasun's roar. The emotions that she had been suppressing completely broke out. Tears fell down her face and the blood on her finger dripped onto the floor. Ning Shu's eyes were shining. Oh my, it's so cruel. I like it so much. Let Zhang Jiasun worry about it. Who would be tired if he didn't go back and forth between two women? You're too fierce. You scared the little girl to tears. Ning Shu glanced at Shui Man Man. Shui Man Man was not a little girl. When Zhang Jiasun heard Ning Shu say that Shui Man Man was a little girl, he felt uncomfortable all over. It was as if he was an old cow eating young grass. Then I'll leave first. Ning Shu passed by Shui Man Man. Take care of your wound. It's not good if it drips on the scarf. Your scarf looks expensive. Shui Man Man's body stiffened and her tears flowed even faster. Ning Shu left. Zhang Jiasun closed the office door and held Shui Man Man's bleeding hand. Your wound needs to be taken care of. I don't need you to care. Shui Man Man shook off Zhang Jiasun's hand and looked sad. You're going to have a child with Miao Miao Miao, but I want to have a child. Why can't you give me a child? Every time she was with Zhang Jiasun would take precautions. Zhang Jiasun's face turned cold. We've discussed it before. Before our relationship is made public, we can't have a child. Zhang Jiasun didn't want an illegitimate child to appear. It would affect his prestige and image of the entire company. At least before his marriage with Miao 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 was dissolved, such a thing couldn't happen. But you're going to have a child with Miao Miao Miao. Shui Man Man saw Zhang Jiasun's cold face and felt even more sad. Zhang Jiasun rubbed his forehead and said helplessly, Can't you see that I'm just brushing her off? How can I have a child with her? You should resign. If you stay in the company with such emotions, people will find out sooner or later. To be honest, Zhang Jiasen was a little impatient with Shui Manman's emotional behavior. If it was at home, a very private place, Zhang Jiasen might be able to comfort Shui Manman patiently. But in such a public place, people could come in at any time. They could be exposed at any time. Zhang Jiasen knew better than anyone how difficult it was to climb to this point, so he couldn't make any mistakes. The irrational Shui Manman was like a bomb. Chapter 460. What Zhang Jiasen meant was for Shui Manman to stay in Tang Chen's mansion and go shopping when she had nothing to do. She didn't want to arouse suspicion in the company. Shui Manman panicked when she heard Zhang Jiasen ask her to resign. She had to stay by Zhang Jiasen's side no matter what. She had to protect such an excellent man. Moreover, there were many young girls who had just graduated from school. Shui Manman knew that she wasn't young anymore. She was 28 years old at most. Naturally, she couldn't compare to those young girls. Her only advantage was that she had a pure relationship with Zhang Jiasen in university. I have to work. Jiasen, don't worry. I'll be careful. Shui Manman didn't care about her grievances. She hurriedly promised Zhang Jiasen and even acted coquettishly. Zhang Jiasen nodded. Ning Shu, who had returned to her office, overheard the conversation between the two at the door and laughed. Zhang Jiasen and Shui Manman were like snakes trying to swallow an elephant. Zhang Jiasen wanted to devour the Miao family, while Shui Manman was no longer satisfied with Zhang Jiasen keeping a mistress in a golden house. She wanted to stand by Zhang Jiasen's side openly. They were both greedy and selfish people. Ning Shu was speechless. Miao 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 truly loved Zhang Jiasen, but Zhang Jiasen didn't care at all. He liked Shui Manman. Shui Manman's love was based on material things. If Zhang Jiasen didn't have his current status, there was a 50% chance that Shui Manman wouldn't have chosen him. Perhaps Zhang Jiasen felt that love with mutual benefits was stable and secure. Love with stable benefits could also fall apart because of benefits. Ning Shu felt that it was about time to make a move. He went to the police station to visit Aunt Ping. During this time, Aunt Ping had lost a lot of weight. Her cheekbones were protruding and she wasn't in good spirits. Her hair looked much whiter than before. Her brows were filled with despair and worry. Ning Shu didn't pity her at all. In the original plot, Aunt Ping had succeeded. Although he didn't know what benefits Zhang Jiasen had given her, since she had chosen this path, she should bear the consequences of being discovered. Still not willing to talk? Ning Shu sat opposite Aunt Ping and looked at her through the bulletproof glass. Aunt Ping's lips quivered, but she didn't say anything. She was in a trance. It was obvious that the interrogation at the police station had taken a toll on her. Don't forget about your son. Your son will be expelled from school because of you. Although the Miao family is insignificant in this city, dealing with your son is still very easy. Ning Shu said indifferently. Mrs. Ping's thin face twitched, and she looked even more terrified. She stood up agitatedly and begged Ning Shu through the glass. Miss, I beg you. This has nothing to do with my son. Please don't do anything to my son. Then tell me why. Why did you poison my father's medicinal cuisine? Ning Shu asked. Aunt Ping told her not to hurt her son, but she was hurting Miao Miao Miao's father, hurting Miao Miao's relatives. How could Aunt Ping have the nerve to ask for help? Aunt Ping shook her head. I can't say. I really can't. I gave you a chance, but you didn't take it. Ning Shu stood up. Take care of yourself. I won't come to see you in the future. Actually, I don't care about your confession at all. Ning Shu didn't have to beg Aunt Ping. As for Aunt Ping wanting to take all the blame for Zhang Jiasen's murder, Ning Shu didn't care at all. Anyway, Aunt Ping had to pay the price for what she had done. Seeing that Ning Shu was about to leave, Aunt Ping hurriedly stopped Ning Shu. I can tell you, but you have to promise me one thing. If you want to say it, then say it. If you don't want to say it, then forget it. As for your condition, I won't agree. You don't have the right to negotiate with me. Even if you don't confess, there will be evidence. Moreover, you are a murderer. Your son will be implicated because of you, be it his studies or work. She still wanted to agree to the condition. She was dreaming. Aunt Ping cried her heart out. Ning Shu left without looking back. After leaving the police station, Ning Shu took a deep breath. A woman must take good care of herself. There was no way to change her parents, but what she could do was not easily entrust the rest of her life to others. After marriage, she had to face her husband's family. After marriage, she had to give birth to children, take care of the housework, take care of her in-laws, and call her parents who had never raised her for a day. If she met a man who wasn't stingy at this time, her life would be like suffering in hell. Instead of being heartbroken and getting a divorce, she should stick to her own ideas and not entrust others easily. Ning Shu was very satisfied with her current life. Even if she was alone, even if she was just a soul, she could live freely. In every world, she would meet different people, different parents, and different friends. Every woman could live a colorful life, even if she didn't have a man. A man like Zhang Jiasen should be humanely destroyed. She had stayed in this world for a long time and had enough things in her hands. It was time to act. Zhang Jiasen had been the general manager for half a month, and his work was getting more and more handy. Standing in the office overlooking the entire city, Zhang Jiasen's heart was full of satisfaction. Looking down at the mountains, Zhang Jiasen now felt like an ancient emperor who was on Mount Tai. He would succeed. Zhang Jiasen looked at Shui Man, who was organizing the documents. Status, money, and women were a man's lifelong pursuit. He would soon get them. General Manager, there's a meeting in 15 minutes, Shui Man said to Zhang Jiasen. Zhang Jiasen smiled faintly. Got it? Shui Man looked at the high-spirited Zhang Jiasen. The current Zhang Jiasen was no longer gloomy like before. He seemed to have the confidence to control everything in his hands. Every time she saw this, Shui Man's heartbeat would become chaotic. She loved this man more. Zhang Jiasen tidied his clothes, pushed open the office door, and entered the meeting room. The department heads who were in the meeting room had all arrived. They were all waiting for Zhang Jiasen. Zhang Jiasen liked the feeling of being in the spotlight. In the past, he was still a subordinate of one of the department heads, but now, these department heads had become his subordinates. Zhang Jiasen walked into the meeting room. Just as he was about to speak, the office door was pushed open. The sound was very loud. Then, 5 or 6 people walked in. Zhang Jiasen's expression was stern. He said coldly, "Which department are you from? Don't you know that we're in a meeting now? We're the police." The person at the front took out his police badge and arrest warrant. "You're Zhang Jiasen, right? You're under arrest." Zhang Jiasen was stunned. Then he said coldly, "What law did I break? If you want to arrest me, you have to show evidence. The police can't just arrest people. You're corrupt. Someone reported you. We already have concrete evidence." The leader of the police said to the team members, "Arrest him." Zhang Jiasen's heart trembled. He wanted to say something, but he was handcuffed. The handcuffs were very cold. It made Zhang Jiasen's heart turn cold. His body trembled uncontrollably. Chapter 461. Corruption and bribery? What was going on? How could something like this happen? Zhang Jiasen's first reaction was that Shui Man had betrayed him. Only Shui Man knew about this. Zhang Jiasen was escorted out of the office. Along the way, he was met with all kinds of gazes, which made Zhang Jiasen feel like he was being dismembered. A few minutes ago, he was still the general manager of the company. Now, he was about to become a prisoner. Shui Man hid at the side and saw this scene. She was so scared that her face turned pale. She carried her bag and rushed back to the Thompson residence. She took out her suitcase and swept all the cosmetics and jewelry on the table into it. Then, he opened the wardrobe and stuffed all the clothes into the suitcase. It really couldn't fit them, so he found another suitcase and put away the shoes and the shower gel in the bathroom. On the one hand, it was to remove the traces of her life in this house. On the other hand, these things were very valuable and were treasured by Shui Man. Shui Man's heart was beating very fast. Thinking of the scene when Zhang Jiasen was taken away, Shui Man tried her best to calm herself down. "It's fine, it'll definitely be fine." Zhang Jiasen was so powerful, and there was still Meow Meow Meow. Meow 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 loved Zhang Jiasen so much, she would definitely bring Zhang Jiasen back. Zhang Jiasen had the Meow family behind him. As long as the Miao family didn't pursue this matter, everything would be fine. Shui Man couldn't figure out how the matter had been exposed. She was even more afraid that she would be implicated. Just as Shui Man was about to leave with a suitcase in each hand, she heard the sound of the door being unlocked. Shui Man was shocked. Only she and Zhang Jiasen had the keys to this house. Could it be that Zhang Jiasen had returned? The door opened and a few men walked in. When they saw Shui Man, they said directly, "You must be Shui Man. You are suspected of concealing your crimes and money laundering. You can't take anything from this house." Shui Man knew that Zhang Jiasen was corrupt, but she didn't call the police. She covered up for Zhang Jiasen and used the money that Zhang Jiasen obtained illegally to buy things, buy jewelry, and help Zhang Jiasen transfer his assets. This constituted a crime of money laundering. When Miao heard this string of accusations, she shook her head in horror and said, I didn't commit any crime. Now we are pursuing the stolen goods according to the law. You can't take the things in this house away. Also, you are under arrest, the police said to Shui Man. The policeman reached out to take Shui Man's suitcase. Shui Man grabbed the handle of the suitcase tightly and said, "These things are all mine. Why can't I take my things away? Everything in this house will be seized." The leading policeman looked at Shui Man and said to the others, "Lock them up. Put these things away and wait for the court to seize them." Shui Man was escorted into the police car. She was so scared that tears streamed down her face. However, in the eyes of the police, Shui Man was now a criminal. No matter how pitiful she was, no one would sympathize with her. Shui Man was locked up in the detention center. She had to face criminal detention. Shui Man was terrified. What was she going to do for the rest of her life after such a thing happened? Also, her relationship with Zhang Jiasen was exposed. Everything happened too suddenly. Shui Man was terrified. What should she do? How did the police find Tang Chiming's house? While Ning Shu was cooking the medicinal cuisine at home, Father Miao received a call from the company's secretary. He knew that Zhang Jiasen had been taken away by the police. He said to Ning Shu, "It's not good to make such a big deal out of it. It's bad for the company." Ning Shu didn't care at all. "Dad, are you going to deal with it in private?" Zhang Jiasen is that kind of person. Even if he moves out of the Miao family, he can still do well in other places. Ning Shu wanted Zhang Jiasen to take the blame for this crime and follow him for the rest of his life. With a criminal record of embezzlement, which company would dare to hire Zhang Jiasen? Who would dare to hire an employee who drank the company's blood and stole the company's flesh? Moreover, corruption and bribery were only the first wave. There were more things waiting for Zhang Jiasen. Father Miao nodded. "Yes, we can't let him off so easily. I didn't agree to the two of you getting married. This won't happen now." Ning Shu served the medicinal cuisine to Father Miao. Ning Shu nodded and said, "At that time, I was blinded by dog shit." Father Miao was speechless. Father Miao didn't even have the appetite to eat the medicinal cuisine when he heard about dog shit. Ning Shu didn't visit Zhang Jiasen. Instead, he went to the company to take charge of the overall situation. The company was in chaos now. Ning Shu took over the position of general manager and began to stabilize the company. This time, without Zhang Jiasen's interference, he had to take full control of the company. Ning Shu, who was working, received a call from an unknown number. When he picked it up, he heard Zhang Jiasen's voice. Miao, it's me. I'll make it short. I didn't take any bribes. You have to help me." Zhang Jiasen's voice was very tired. There was a slight tremble in his voice, but overall, he sounded relatively calm. Ning Shu laughed silently. "Help you? Miao, are you listening to me? I don't have much time to call. You have to help me. Ask father-in-law to help me." Zhang Jiasen said anxiously. A voice came from the other end of the phone. "Time's up. Stop calling. Miao, I love you. Do." Zhang Jiasen was hung up before he could finish his words. Ning Shu stared at the phone and shrugged his shoulders. He said, "I love you, and wanted to help you." How cunning. She was afraid that Zhang Jiasen didn't know that Shui Man had been arrested. If he knew, he wouldn't be so confident in asking her to save her. She just didn't know how Zhang Jiasen, who had fallen from the position of general manager, felt now. From heaven to hell, and now he might even face the disaster of being imprisoned. Could he bear it? He was about to succeed, but he missed it. How painful and vexing it must be. Now that she was busy with the company's affairs, how could she have time to save Zhang Jiasun? Even if Zhang Jiasun quibbled, there was irrefutable evidence. He couldn't run away. Ning Shu fired many people in the finance department. The people in the finance department were responsible for checking and filling in the loopholes. The Miao family was the owner of the company, but they were all on Zhang Jiasun's side. After firing these people, Ning Shu put the people he found in the finance department. He also fired many people who were above the position of supervisor. These people were all related to Zhang Jiasun. There was a relationship of interest. In fact, many people thought that the Miao family would be Zhang Jiasun's in the future. The Miao family didn't have a son to inherit the company, and their only daughter married Zhang Jiasun. This company should naturally be inherited by Zhang Jiasun. When choosing between the Miao family and Zhang Jiasun, they chose Zhang Jiasun and fought for the merit of supporting the emperor. It seemed that Zhang Jiasun chose Miao 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 as his target after careful consideration. It wasn't enough to just be a rich young lady. It had to be a rich young lady who had the right to inherit. Chapter 462. Everyone wanted to succeed, and if Zhang Jiasun could treat Miao 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 sincerely, it might be a happy marriage. But Zhang Jiasun used Miao 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 and even hurt her, taking everything away from her. Why did Zhang Jiasun feel wronged and feel that he had no dignity after hurting someone else? He was the one who made the decision to marry Miao Miao Miao, but Zhang Jiasun acted as if the Miao family forced him to give up his dignity and marry Miao Miao Miao. Zhang Jiasun destroyed Miao Miao Miao's happy life for that little bit of dignity and that little bit of male chauvinism. Miao Miao Miao, who had nothing, naturally didn't have that suffocating aura. No one said that he was a soft rice king anymore. After Zhang Jiasun succeeded, he used strong means to wash away his humiliating past. This kind of person was crazy. Zhang Jiasun called Ning Shu to help him, but Ning Shu forgot about it in a blink of an eye. He was busy with work every day and would only talk about it after he had complete control of the company. But Zhang Jiasun basically called Ning Shu every day to ask him to think of a way. In the beginning, he could still talk to Ning Shu warmly, but after a long time, Ning Shu's attitude was always perfunctory, and Zhang Jiasun's tone became very anxious and impatient. Zhang Jiasun directly asked Ning Shu to save him, but Ning Shu was still warm. After a few days, Zhang Jiasun's tone became humble, and he kept saying, "Miao Miao, I love you, you have to save me." Zhang Jiasun knew that the only person who could save him now was the Miao family and Miao Miao Miao's father, who had a wide network, and he was relying on Miao Miao Miao's love for him. Shui Man Man's love couldn't save Zhang Jiasun now, and he had to rely on Miao Miao Miao's love. Ning Shu felt that it was ironic. A man like Zhang Jiasun was really a woman's misfortune, and she had to run as far away as possible from such a man. Ning Shu answered with his mouth. There was still more than a month before Zhang Jiasun's trial. In this month, the police station had to collect all kinds of evidence and appeal. Once it went to court, Zhang Jiasun's crime would be confirmed. There would be an indelible stain in his file, and he might even go to jail. Therefore, Zhang Jiasun wanted Ning Shu to get him out of here before the court session started. He wanted to minimize the problem as much as possible. "If I can kill you, I definitely won't let you live." "Let you out? How is that possible?" Ning Shu laughed coldly. Zhang Jiasun wanted to call Ning Shu to go to the police station to watch over him. There were some things he wanted to say to Ning Shu, but there was a time limit to the phone call, so he couldn't explain it clearly. Besides, some things were completely different over the phone than in person. Zhang Jiasun wanted to rely on Miao Miao Miao's love for him to soften her heart when she saw him in such a sorry state. Ning Shu just laughed twice and walked to the window. He saw Zhang Jiasun's family members making a scene at the company's entrance. Zhang Jiasun's mother was used to making a scene. She sat at the door and cried. However, this time, she cried more sadly than when Tan Hiyu was caught. Zhang Jiasun was her flesh and blood. Not only Zhang Jiasun's mother came, but the whole family also came. Zhang Xiaomei and her brother, Zhang Wenlan, was holding her daughter in her arms. Zhang Wenlan was crying silently, hugging her daughter and crying. To be honest, Ning Shu didn't like Zhang Wenlan very much. She was always so weak and always cried in front of the child. She didn't want to leave any shadow on the child. She always made herself look so miserable. Just looking at her was unbearable. Zhang Jiasan's mother's favorite thing to do was to put a bucket of shit on Ning Shu's head. She sat on the ground, slapped the ground and wailed loudly. Her daughter-in-law was a black-hearted person. She sent her husband and brother-in-law to the police station and locked all the men in her husband's family in the police station. There were people coming and going at the company's entrance. They were all watching the Zhang family, especially when they heard Zhang Jiasan's mother scolding the company's general manager. They were all very gossipy. Ning Shu asked his secretary to call the family in. Zhang Jiasan's mother's method was hurting others and herself. To be honest, this kind of harm didn't hurt Ning Shu much. However, Ning Shu had an idea in his mind. The family was sent to the living room. Ning Shu walked in and saw Zhang Jiasan's mother wiping her nose, then flinging her snot on the wall. She then wiped her hands on her shoes. Ning Shu was speechless. Seeing Ning Shu walk in, the Zhang family's faces all turned green. Even Zhang Xiaomei knew the seriousness of this matter. Without her brother, she wouldn't have the money to buy good things. There were too many good things in this city, but they also required a lot of money. Zhang Xiaomei said to Ning Shu, "Sister Miao, how did my brother get taken away?" Ning Shu said calmly, "He embezzled the company's money and was reported." "Embezzled the company's money? You and Jiasan are married, so your family. This company is also considered Jiasan's. How can taking money from your own family be considered embezzlement?" Zhang Jiasan's father said coldly, "This is not embezzlement at all. Daughter-in-law, now is not the time to be angry with us. The most important thing now is to get Jiasan out." Compared to Zhang Jiasan's mother, who was wailing and blaming Ning Shu, Zhang Jiasan's father's attitude was obviously much better. When Tan Hiu was locked up, Zhang Jiasan's father condescendingly asked her to let him go. But now his attitude was much more amiable. Obviously, in Zhang Jiasan's father's heart, Zhang Jiasan was the most important person in this family. It was also possible that Zhang Jiasan's mother was playing the bad cop, and he was playing the good cop. Ning Shu didn't care what these people were thinking. She said, "I really can't do anything about this. Jiasan is my husband. Naturally, I want him to be released. And this matter will cost a lot of money." Ning Shu spread her hands. "I don't know how much it will cost. I have no idea." "Then you spend the money. Isn't your family rich?" Zhang Jiasan's mother said directly to Ning Shu. Hearing Zhang Jiasan's mother say this, the other Zhang family members didn't say anything. Obviously, they all thought the same. Ning Shu narrowed her eyes. She always felt that Zhang Jiasan's mother was shrewish and uneducated. She said whatever she wanted. However, Zhang Jiasan's mother's role was to test other people's bottom line and let Zhang Jiasan's father, who was the head of the family, know what to do. Just like now, Zhang Jiasan's mother directly said that the Miao family should pay to get Jiasan out. Her words were direct and unacceptable, but Zhang Jiasan's father couldn't say it out loud. This family already had a fixed way of living, and everyone consciously maintained this way of living. Daughter-in-law, Jiasan is still suffering in the prison. Let's get him out first. Nothing else is more important than him. Seeing that Ning Shu didn't say anything, Zhang Jiasan's father sighed and said, "When Jiasan is released, you guys should live a good life. If the first child's surname is Miao, then so be it. After all, he is a child of the Zhang family and the Miao family." Zhang Jiasan's father was now negotiating with Ning Shu. Chapter 463. Zhang Jiasan's father said that the first child should be named Miao. Ning Shu expressed that she didn't want Zhang Jiasan anymore, and she still wanted to have a child with Zhang Jiasan. Why did the Zhang family feel that they had to have Zhang Jiasan? Without the halo that the Miao family gave Zhang Jiasan was worthless. He didn't have money, and his character wasn't good. The Zhang family felt that they should be faithful to Zhang Jiasan, no matter what he was like. Ning Shu found it hilarious. She felt like she had returned to ancient times, where women had to follow the 3 obediences and 4 virtues. Even though times were changing, some ideas were still deeply rooted. In some places, Women couldn't even eat at the table. No matter when, there were always thick shackles on women. Women nowadays might not live as happily as those women in ancient times. Women nowadays had to take care of their family and work to give birth and raise children. Weren't women supposed to hold up half the sky? Now, I'll let you hold up half the sky. When Zhang Jiasan's mother heard that the child's surname was Miao, her face turned ugly. Her lips moved, but she didn't say anything. She obviously didn't dare to challenge Zhang Jiasan's father's authority as the head of the family. The Zhang family looked at Ning Shu, obviously waiting for Ning Shu's answer. Ning Shu was about to explode. What was this? Spending money to get Zhang Jiasan out, then carrying him for 10 months, enduring the pain of labor, and giving birth to a child with the surname Miao? Was this a great gift? What the fuck? Ning Shu took a deep breath and said, "Okay, but the company doesn't have much money, so you'll have to fork out some money." "We don't have money," Zhang Jiasan's mother said firmly. Ning Shu said indifferently, "Then there's no other way. Because the design drafts were stolen, the factory can't operate, but we still have to pay the workers. The company doesn't have much money left. If you want to save Jiasan, this money isn't enough. I also want to save him, but the conditions don't allow it." Ning Shu spread out his hands and said, "If it doesn't work, let Jiasan go to jail for a few years." Zhang Jiasan's mother immediately frowned and pointed at Ning Shu, scolding, "You dark-eyed woman, how can you talk about your husband like that? How can Jiasan go to jail?" Ning Shu looked at Zhang Jiasan's mother. She was thinner than before. Her cheekbones were high, her eyes were sunken, and her hair was more white than before. Even though she was talking to Ning Shu angrily, he could still feel that she was weak and afraid. Zhang Jiasan's mother was a bluff, a person who bared her teeth and brandished her claws. Ning Shu ignored the clamoring Zhang Jiasan's mother. Zhang Jiasan's mother was a woman, but she absolutely supported male chauvinism. She even asked her daughter and daughter-in-law to prioritize men. In particular, she asked Ning Shu, her daughter-in-law, to prioritize her son. It would be even better if she could be humble. Ning Shu was left speechless by this strange idea. Zhang Jiasan's mother actually didn't have much say in the family. All the decisions were in the hands of Zhang Jiasan's father. Growing up in such an environment, Zhang Jiasan was a male chauvinist. Even though Miao Miao treated Zhang Jiasan very well and didn't look down on him because of his family background, Zhang Jiasan felt that his pride was insulted and denied everything Miao 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 had. "Daughter-in-law, our family really doesn't have money. At most, we can only take out 100,000 yuan, Zhang Jiasan's father said. 100,000 yuan. It seemed that Zhang Jiasan had really embezzled a lot of money from the Zhang family. Moreover, Ning Shu believed that 100,000 yuan was definitely not Zhang Jiasan's father's bottom line. Ning Shu shook her head and said, "How can 100,000 yuan be enough? Jiasan embezzled a huge sum of 7 to 8 million yuan. This matter isn't so easy to solve. If we can fix these loopholes, this matter will definitely be left unsettled." "A few million? How can our family have a few million yuan? Sister Miao, your family is so rich, can't you take out this much money?" When Zhang Xiaomei heard that it was a few million yuan, she almost jumped up. Even if they sold themselves, they wouldn't be able to gather that much money. "Dad, why don't we let brother?" Before Zhang Xiaomei could finish her sentence, Zhang Jiasan's father's face immediately turned serious. "That's your brother. No matter what, we have to save your brother." Obviously, Zhang Xiaomei meant to let her brother go to jail for a few years in exchange for a few million yuan. Actually, it was quite worth it. Not many people could earn 7 to 8 million yuan in a few years. It was close to 10 million yuan. Ning Shu listened silently at the side. Zhang Jiasan's father, Ning Shu, said firmly, "No matter what, we have to save him. How about this? In the future, if a boy takes your surname, your first child will also take your surname, and 2 children will take the surname Miao." Asiba, from the sound of it, they were going to have more than 2 children. If 2 of them took the surname Miao, then one of them would take the surname Zhang. Damn, Ning Shu wiped his cold sweat. Ning Shu felt that it was simply inconceivable to use this kind of thing to negotiate. Without Zhang Jiasan, they could also have children. They could go to the sperm bank to choose the best sperm. The children they gave birth to would definitely belong to them. Why would they need such a gift from you? Ning Shu grinned and said, "How about this? Don't we still have a house at home? Sell this house and I will give you the rest of the money. How about that?" Ning Shu meant to sell the house that Miao Miao's father bought for Miao Miao and Zhang Jiasen. "This won't do." Zhang Jiasen's father directly objected. A house was the foundation of a family. Even if they sold everything they had, they wouldn't be able to buy a house. Wasn't this telling others that this family couldn't survive? Although Zhang Jiasen's father was from the countryside, he was still very clear about some things. It wasn't easy to own a house in this city. Ning Shu said faintly, "But we need money now. When we have more money, we will buy a new house. Whether you save them or not, it's up to you." Zhang Jiasen's father frowned and smoked. The whole living room was filled with smoke, and the smell of smoke was uncomfortable. In the end, Zhang Jiasen's father made the decision to buy a house. Ning Shu smiled faintly. The house soon had a buyer, but the price was very low. The original 2 million plus decorations and furniture was directly suppressed to 1 million. 1 million was still a long way from 7 to 8 million, but Zhang Jia's father still decided to sell it. The rest of the money would be paid by Ning Shu. She was the one who said that she would pay for the rest of the money. The house was quickly sold, but it returned to Ning Shu. This time, only Miao Miao's name was on the property certificate, and Zhang Jiasen's name was no longer there. This house was no longer the joint property of Zhang Jiasen and Miao Miao after their marriage. The mansion was sealed, and he didn't have a share in this house. The things that he had worked hard for the past 2 years were gone. Zhang Jiasen had nothing now, and he had to face the disaster of being imprisoned. Ning Shu put away the property certificate and smiled faintly. Chapter 464. Since the house had been sold, the Zhang family naturally couldn't stay in the house. Zhang Jiasen's mother looked at the nice furniture in the house and wanted to move them away. Zhang Jiasen's father scolded her directly. These things already belonged to someone else. Besides, where would they be placed if they were moved away? Zhang Jiasen's mother's eyes were red. Her face was trembling from the pain. These things were all her sons. The Zhang family rented an ordinary house in a small district. They would only return to the countryside after Zhang Jiasen's matter was settled. During this period, Zhang Jiasen's father's back was hunched. As the head of the family, he was under a lot of pressure, especially when his son, whom he was proud of, was involved in such a thing. When the Zhang family returned to the village, they were disgraced and had to face the gossip of the villagers. What a sin! The day before the court session, Ning Shu went to the police station to see Zhang Jiasen. When he saw Zhang Jiasen again, Ning Shu almost couldn't recognize him. Zhang Jiasen was wearing a prison uniform. His beard had grown out, and he had lost a lot of weight. His eyes were bloodshot. His hair, which used to be neatly combed, was now messy and hung in front of his forehead, almost covering his eyes. Zhang Jiasen now looked very gloomy and anxious, like a trapped beast. Zhang Jiasen was very agitated when he saw Miao Miao, which made his eyes even redder. "Miao Miao, why are you only here now? After you were arrested, the company was in chaos. I went to take charge." Ning Shu asked Zhang Jiasen, "How have you been?" Zhang Jiasen rubbed his forehead. He wanted to reach out and grab Ning Shu's hand, but it was separated by bulletproof glass. Zhang Jiasen looked at Ning Shu gently. "Miao Miao, I can explain this matter to you. As for the house in Thompson Residence, I bought it. I want to give you a home. I built this home for you." Ning Shu was speechless. "Miao Miao, please believe me." Zhang Jiasen tried hard to suppress the wild beast in his heart. Miao Miao was now his life-saving straw. Ning Shu looked at Zhang Jiasen with an aggrieved expression. "But Secretary Shui lives in Thompson Residence. Did you really buy this house for me? There's only your name on it." Zhang Jiasen furrowed his brows tightly. His eyes were bloodshot as he stared fixedly at Ning Shu. "Was this your dad's idea? Your father has been checking the accounts recently." Zhang Jiasen had been thinking about it repeatedly for the past month and felt that Miao Miao's father, Miao Ji, was the one who sent him in. Moreover, looking at the attitude of the police, it was obvious that they had solid evidence. This matter was done by Miao Ji, and perhaps Meow 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 was also aware of it. However, Zhang Jiasen was gambling on Meow Meow Meow's feelings for him. However, it was clear that this feeling couldn't be gambled. Meow Meow Zhang Jiasen wanted to find a reason to defend himself, but he didn't know what to say. Meow Meow, please believe me, Zhang Jiasen said weakly. Ning Shu smiled and said, don't worry, I will help you. Zhang Jiasen's face flashed with joy. Ning Shu said, I sold our wedding house to raise money to save you. The joy on Zhang Jiasen's face instantly froze. He furrowed his brows and said, Meow Meow, how could you sell the house? That's our wedding house. Zhang Jiasen's lips trembled twice. His face was ashen as he stared at Ning Shu. He bitterly smiled and asked, Meow Meow Meow, did you do it on purpose? What do you mean on purpose? Father-in-law also agreed to buy the house. Ning Shu said with some astonishment. Zhang Jiasen's spirit had been sucked away. Right now, he really had nothing left. The things that he had worked so hard for were all gone. The things that gave him a foothold in this city were all gone. Zhang Jiasen's mind was in a trance. Not long ago, he was still the general manager who could call the wind and summon the rain. However, right now, he had nothing. His heart felt like it was being fried in a pan of oil. It was incomparably painful. Zhang Jiasen looked at the woman in front of him and asked, How much did you sell the house for? Ning Shu felt that it was funny that Zhang Jiasen was still concerned about this at this time. Ning Shu stretched out a finger. Zhang Jiasen stared at Ning Shu's finger. His face turned ugly. He suddenly slammed the table and said, This house also has my name. You didn't inform me and sold the house. Meow Meow Meow, you did it on purpose. You did it on purpose. The house in such a good location should have been sold for 3 million. However, it was sold at a cabbage price. It was sold at 1/3 of the price. Ning Shu shrugged her shoulders and said, I really wanted to save you. Save me? Zhang Jiasen sneered. The Miao family was not so poor that they had to sell the house. It must be that old man Miao Ji who took the opportunity to take away the property in his hands. Zhang Jiasen was so angry that his body shook. He sat down and the blood in his eyes became more serious. Looking at Meow Meow Meow's indifferent face, his heart became more and more terrified. He quickly said, Meow Meow, I really love you. When we get out, I will explain everything to you. Explain? There was no need for that. Ning Shu did not say anything and just looked at Zhang Jiasen. Zhang Jiasen's emotions became even more agitated. If it wasn't for the bulletproof glass separating them, Zhang Jiasen would have pounced on them. Zhang Jiasen looked a little crazy. He slammed the glass with his hand and opened and closed his mouth. Ning Shu hung up the phone and could not hear what he said. Because Zhang Jiasen's emotions were too agitated, he was suppressed by the people in the detention center. Zhang Jiasen violently resisted. He kept looking at Ning Shu and roared at Ning Shu. However, through the glass, it was impossible to hear what he was saying. Ning Shu felt as if he was watching a pantomime show. Zhang Jiasen was finally dragged away. His eyes were filled with blood, especially when he saw the indifferent Ning Shu. His expression was filled with despair and resentment. He looked at Ning Shu with eyes full of resentment. Facing such a gaze, Ning Shu felt very happy. Knowing that you are suffering, I am relieved. Ning Shu went to see Shui Man Man again. However, he did not meet Shui Man Man. Instead, he found out from the police who interrogated Shui Man Man. Shui Man Man had all kinds of branded goods, bags, cosmetics, clothes, shoes, perfume, beauty cards, and all kinds of other things. It was estimated to be more than 1 million yuan. These were all blood sucked from the Miao family. Counting all the miscellaneous things, Zhang Jiasen had earned more than 10 million yuan in the past 2 years. He was really thinking of ways to empty out the Miao family. Not only would Zhang Jiasen go to jail, Shui Man Man would also face criminal detention. Moreover, her things would no longer be hers. They would become stolen goods. Like I said, everything that you have eaten must be spat out. One by one, they dug out the flesh and drank the blood of the Miao family. They even laughed at Meow Meow Meow's stupidity behind her back. Miao family is rich, so they should be treated like this? Do they still think that they are robbing the rich to give to the poor? Are they enforcing justice on behalf of the heavens? Ning Shu would not let Zhang Jiasun off, nor would he let Shui Manman off. Zhang Jiasun's actions were vile, but Shui Manman's actions were equally disgusting. Perhaps after Miao Miao Miao's death, Shui Manman and Zhang Jiasun openly got together. Just like what Zhang Jiasun said, they had a cute child. They snuggled together in the garden and watched the child play. It was a happy family. Chapter 465. The next day was the court session. Ning Shu arrived at the entrance of the court early in the morning. After all, he was the general manager of a company. The embezzlement of tens of millions attracted some reporters from small newspapers. This was Ning Shu's goal. The corruption of a manager was different from the corruption of a general manager. If half of the person in charge of a company embezzled the company's money, the impact would be greater. Also, she wanted to put the complacent Zhang Jiasun behind bars and expose his evil deeds in front of everyone. Today's drama would definitely be exciting. Not only did Ning Shu come, but the Zhang family also came. Even Zhang Xiaomei's twin brother, who was addicted to the internet, came. The Zhang family looked at Ning Shu with disdain. Ning Shu didn't care at all. He found a seat in the gallery and sat down. The Zhang family sat a little far from Ning Shu. Obviously, they didn't want to sit with Ning Shu. Soon, Zhang Jiasun was handcuffed and was taken to the dock by the armed police. He was wearing a prisoner's vest. Seeing Zhang Jiasun come out, the Zhang family was very excited. Zhang Jiasun's mother saw her son being treated like this. Her cheeks were tightly clenched and her face was trembling. Zhang Jiasun's father had a serious face. He touched his waist and found that he didn't bring his pipe. Zhang Jiasun's condition wasn't very good. He kept his head down and the front of his hair covered his eyes. In particular, the camera flashes made Zhang Jiasun lower his head even more. Ning Shu looked at the current Zhang Jiasun with a gloomy and cold aura. The prosecutor's office would file a complaint against Zhang Jiasun. Then, the jury and the judge would decide on Zhang Jiasun's crime. Zhang Jiasun's crime was set in stone. However, the process still had to be done and various kinds of evidence were presented. From the beginning to the end, Zhang Jiasun didn't say a word. He seemed to be out of it. Maybe he didn't care about his future. His whole body was calm and had a frightening gloomy aura. Ning Shu couldn't understand what Zhang Jiasun was thinking. Although it was a process, it still needed witnesses and material evidence. When he heard about the witness, Zhang Jiasun's body moved. Witness? Who is this witness? Ning Shu was also curious. The armed police brought Shui Manman up. When he saw Shui Manman, Ning Shu suddenly laughed. Was Shui Manman going to be a witness? Are you going to testify against Zhang Jiasun? Oh, this is the love between Zhang Jiasun and Shui Manman. Zhang Jiasun turned his head and saw Shui Manman. He was stunned. Obviously, he was shocked by Shui Manman's arrival. Zhang Jiasun's face trembled as he stared at Shui Manman. Shui Manman looked flustered. When she met Zhang Jiasun's gloomy eyes, she immediately looked away, her body trembling slightly. Shui Manman knew that she had let Zhang Jiasun down by doing this, but she could only do this to reduce her punishment. She was a girl, she couldn't go to jail. She would be 30 years old when she came out of jail. Who would want a woman who had been in jail? What should she do for the rest of her life? She was struggling in her heart. She didn't want to betray Zhang Jiasun, but at this point, she and Zhang Jiasun had no future. It was impossible for her and Zhang Jiasun to be together. Zhang Jiasun still had Miao 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 to help him, but what about her? Her parents despised her and didn't come to see her until now. She had nowhere to go. Shui Manman had already made up her mind, but when she faced Zhang Jiasun, she still felt terrified and ashamed, especially when she saw Zhang Jiasun in such a sorry state. While feeling ashamed, Shui Manman also confirmed her inner thoughts. Shui Manman took a deep breath and said, "Judge, I can testify that Zhang Jiasun took advantage of his position in the company and embezzled a lot of the company's money. He sold the goods at a low price and quoted a high price. Some of the suppliers even bribed Zhang Jiasun. There are even accounts in the safe of Thompson Residential Residence." "Then how do you know?" the judge asked. Shui Manman bit her lips and took a deep breath before saying, "I'm Zhang Jiasun's mistress. He has a lot of things to tell me." Gotcha, gotcha. The reporters pressed their shutters fiercely. This kind of nude news was much more attractive than a simple corruption case. The drama of being accused by his mistress and becoming enemies was really explosive. Anyway, Shui Man said everything in one go, which made Zhang Jiasun burn with anger. Zhang Jiasun rushed to Shui Man at lightning speed. He reached out his hand and grabbed Shui Man's neck. He shouted fiercely, "Shui Man, you dare to betray me, you bitch!" Shui Man's face turned purple from Zhang Jiasun's grip. She struggled and tried to pry Zhang Jiasun's hand away. The armed police at the side quickly pulled Zhang Jiasun away, but Zhang Jiasun refused to let go of Shui Man's neck. Shui Man's eyes had already rolled back. Zhang Jiasun bent his fingers and almost sank them into Shui Man's neck. Seeing that something was wrong, the armed police took out a stun baton and hit Zhang Jiasun's body. Zhang Jiasun's whole body trembled from the electric shock. His hand weakly let go of Shui Man's neck. Shui Man fell to the ground, gasping for breath and coughing violently. Zhang Jiasun looked at Shui Man with eyes full of resentment and hatred. When he was dragged away by the armed police, he even kicked Shui Man. Shui Man was kicked to the ground and coughed until tears and snot were all over her face. Silence, silence. The judge banged the gavel and asked the armed police to take the battered Shui Man away. Ning Shu looked at this scene. Because of interests, they would also fall apart because of interests. Zhang Jiasun and Shui Man each had their own selfish motives. When a disaster came, husband and wife would fly away separately. Not to mention Zhang Jiasun and Shui Man's relationship with no guarantee. Oh my, it's too comfortable, too cool. He liked to watch such a show. The two people who were hugging each other and were incomparably affectionate immediately turned hostile and ruthless. They weren't so faithful. Ning Shu wasn't surprised by Shui Man's decision at all. Shui Man and Zhang Jiasun were both very selfish people. No matter what happened, the first thing they would think of was themselves. This was normal. People were selfish, but these two people were extremely selfish. Ning Shu looked at Zhang Jiasun. His expression was even more defeated. In addition, he was hit by the stun baton just now, so he was very dispirited and powerless. That damn bitch, that rotten-ass bitch, she actually treated Jiasun like this. Zhang Jiasun's mother, who was sitting in the gallery, kept cursing Shui Man. She felt very sorry for Zhang Jiasun. If it wasn't for Zhang Jiasun's father holding her back, she would have run to the dock. The Zhang family's expressions were very bad. Zhang Jiasun's father looked at Ning Shu. Obviously, he wanted Ning Shu to save Zhang Jiasun. Zhang Jiasun's situation was very bad now. He was being accused by his mistress. Zhang Jiasun's father wiped his face. His expression was ashen. He blamed Zhang Jiasun in his heart for not being able to control his crotch. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened. Chapter 466. The Zhang family didn't know that Zhang Jiasun had a mistress until now, but this mistress actually accused Zhang Jiasun, which made the Zhang family feel very uncomfortable. Since she was Zhang Jiasun's woman, she shouldn't have done such a thing. Especially Zhang Jiasun's mother, who felt that Shui Man was really disgraceful. It seemed that no one had considered Ning Shu's feelings. Her husband cheated on her, and no one cared about her feelings. Ning Shu smiled. In the Zhang family, the daughter-in-law was the lowest and most undignified creature. Above her was her sister-in-law, her brother-in-law, and then her husband, Zhang Jiasun. Above her were her parents-in-law who had absolute authority. In this family, people could be divided into different ranks, and Miao 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 was the lowest. She was an outsider. The trial continued. Zhang Jiasun was sentenced to 10 years in prison for accepting bribes, and the amount of bribes was more than 100,000 yuan and more than 10 million yuan. All the stolen money was confiscated. Moreover, Shui Man was guilty of concealing the crime and helping to dispose of the stolen goods. She was sentenced to 3 years in prison and 2 years in prison because she took the initiative to provide evidence. Hearing this sentence, Zhang Jiasun's mother immediately stood up and roared, "No, my son only took money from his wife's family. How is this corruption?" In the Zhang family's view, Zhang Jiasun used their family's money, and the Miao family's money was Zhang Jiasun's. Silence. People outside the court are not allowed to make noise. If this happens again, you can't stay in the gallery. The judge said expressionlessly as he knocked the gavel. Zhang Jiasan's mother's face was dark red, especially when many reporters were taking photos of her. Zhang Jiasan's mother was at a loss and stood there blankly. Zhang Jiasan's father pulled her to sit down with a livid face. Zhang Jiasan's mother sat on the chair and her face was twisted in pain, but she didn't dare to say anything. Zhang Jiasan turned to look at his family. When he turned back, he saw Ning Shu sitting in the corner and was stunned. Ning Shu and Zhang Jiasan's eyes met, and Zhang Jiasan immediately looked away in embarrassment. Obviously, Zhang Jiasan felt embarrassed because of the matter between him and Xue Manman. Zhang Jiasan turned his head, but Ning Shu could see that his body was trembling slightly and his figure was slightly bent. Was he embarrassed to face her? If he could do it, why couldn't he face it? Even Zhang Jiasan felt embarrassed? 10 years in prison? Ning Shu smiled. Corruption and bribery were felonies. If Miao's father wanted to settle it privately, Zhang Jiasan would naturally be fine. However, if he took it seriously, Zhang Jiasan would have to bear the consequences. This was just corruption and bribery. What if there was another case of instigating others to commit a crime? He wanted to expose Zhang Jiasan's evil deeds under the sun and let the world see what a beast Zhang Jiasan was. Cheating in marriage, poisoning his father-in-law, corruption, taking bribes, and keeping mistresses. Such a person was still successful in the end and was even respected by others. After the verdict was over, Zhang Jiasan was taken away. Zhang Jiasan's legs were a little weak, so he was helped down by 2 armed police officers. Zhang Jiasan's gaze was fixed on Ning Shu's body. Zhang Jiasan's aura was restrained, and he looked very calm. He didn't look like someone who was going to face 10 years in prison. Ning Shu was surprised by Zhang Jiasan's calmness. Zhang Jiasan was not an ordinary person. After the trial ended, a new verdict was immediately issued. Zhang Jiasan was brought up again. Everyone was stunned. The reporters who were about to leave immediately came back. Zhang Jiasan's face was a little pale, but he was still calm. However, the Zhang family was at a loss. 10 years in prison had already made the Zhang family despair, but what was going on? This time, the prosecutor's office was accusing Zhang Jiasan of instigating others to commit a crime. The surrounding people were in an uproar. The reporters pressed the shutter. They thought it was an insignificant piece of news, but Zhang Jiasan had done so many things. It was a big piece of news with all kinds of information. When Zhang Jiasan heard the accusation, his pupils shrank. He quickly turned to look at Ning Shu. Ning Shu and Zhang Jiasan's eyes met. Zhang Jiasan narrowed his eyes slightly. A flash of understanding flashed across his face. Then he turned around and stopped looking at Ning Shu. Zhang Jiasan's mother sobbed softly. She didn't dare to make a sound. Zhang Jiasan's father's face was ashen. He looked a lot older. Aunt Ping, who was wearing a prison uniform, was brought in by the armed police. Aunt Ping was very thin. The prison uniform was empty on her body. Her hair was white. She was only 50 years old, but she looked like she was about to die. Aunt Ping said disheartenedly, "Zhang Jiasan asked me to drug Miao Ji's medicinal food. This kind of drug won't be discovered even if it's eaten. If it succeeds, Zhang Jiasan promised to let my son follow him. He will nurture my son." I thought that the Miao family would definitely belong to Zhang Jiasan in the future. I wanted to take a gamble. I'm just a nanny. For my son's future, I can only take the risk. Aunt Ping saw Zhang Jiasan's success, so she wanted to let her son take a shortcut. Zhang Jiasan was originally just a person in the mountains, but because of the Miao family, he walked to the peak of life. Even a nanny like Aunt Ping felt that the Miao family would belong to Zhang Jiasan in the future, let alone the people in the company. Many of the higher-ups were biased towards Zhang Jiasan. Even if the Miao family's company wasn't big, where there were people, there would be underworld. Miao Miao was a useless girl. Everyone thought that Father Miao found a son-in-law like Zhang Jiasan to inherit the Miao family. Zhang Jiasan smoothly took over the company after Father Miao's death. In the face of Aunt Ping's accusation, Zhang Jiasan didn't refute and calmly accepted it. In this crime committed by Zhang Jiasan and Aunt Ping, Zhang Jiasun was the main culprit and Aunt Ping was an accomplice. Zhang Jiasun would face heavy punishment. Because of the nature of the crime, Zhang Jiasun was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Aunt Ping was sentenced to 4 years in prison. In other words, Zhang Jiasun would be sentenced to 18 years, which was close to 20 years. Zhang Jiasun's body trembled, but he quickly stabilized. He turned to look at Ning Shu. From the beginning to the end, Ning Shu's expression was indifferent. Zhang Jiasun's lips moved. Under the light, Zhang Jiasun's face was a little hazy. After the sentencing, Zhang Jiasun's mother couldn't control herself anymore and burst into tears. Zhang Jiasun didn't care about his mother's cries. Or rather, he couldn't care less. The reporters kept taking photos of Zhang Jiasun. Zhang Jiasun was a monster. After the trial ended, Zhang Jiasun was taken away. He looked at Ning Shu and his lips moved. Ning Shu looked at his mouth and saw that it was meow meow. Could it be that Zhang Jiasun still wanted him to save him at this point? Ning Shu thought that he was dreaming. After the trial ended, Ning Shu stood up and prepared to leave. There was still one more thing to settle. Daughter-in-law. Zhang Jiasun's father called out to Ning Shu. He stood up in a hurry and his body swayed. Fortunately, there was someone supporting him. Chapter 467. Zhang Jiasun's father called out to Ning Shu, and Ning Shu asked, "Didn't you say that you wanted to save Jiasun? Why do you want him to go to jail for 20 years? Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu really did not know what to say. Zhang Jiasun wanted to kill Miao Miao Miao's father, and now he still had the face to ask him why he did not save Zhang Jiasun. Don't they feel guilty and guilty? I tried to use the money to use my connections, but it was useless. Zhang Jiasun's matter is too serious. He wanted to kill my father." Ning Shu picked up his bag and left. Zhang Jiasun's father's face turned pale. This was no longer an in-law, but an enemy. Zhang Xiaomei pulled Ning Shu and said, "Has the 1 million yuan used up? This house belongs to my brother too. You should share the rest of the money with us." Ning Shu frowned. Looking at Zhang Xiaomei, was the Zhang family so heartless? Her brother was already in jail, and Zhang Xiaomei still had the mood to talk about the money for the house. Ning Shu bared his teeth and said, "It's all used up. There's not a single cent left." "Meow meow meow, you just want to embezzle the rest of the money," Zhang Xiaomei said angrily. Ning Shu said indifferently, "This house is mine, and I have the right to use the money. If I say there's no more money, then there's no more money. So what do you want?" Zhang Xiaomei was fuming. Zhang Jiasun's mother had joined the team to collect the debt. More than 1 million yuan was spent in a few days. That's impossible. You black-hearted person, you want to embezzle Jiasun's money. Ning Shu sneered, opened the car door and left. He could not be bothered to talk to these people. Back home, Miao's father, Ning Shu, asked, "How did the court deal with this? How did they deal with it?" All of Zhang Jiasun's assets were confiscated, and he will be in jail for 18 years. Ning Shu said. Miao's father said coldly, "That's how it should be." "Daughter, are you still unable to let go of Zhang Jiasun?" Seeing that Ning Shu's expression wasn't good, Miao Ying's father said anxiously, "Daughter, are you going to wait until Zhang Jiasun is 18 years old? How is this possible?" Ning Shu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Why did she have to wait for Zhang Jiasun for 18 years? Since the original owner put forward such a task, it showed that she had already given up on Zhang Jiasun. Miao Miao Miao's brain must have been fried by a pig if she still continued to love and wait for Zhang Jiasun after killing her parents and causing her to lose everything, and her originally happy life was ruined by Zhang Jiasun. That's good. Quickly divorce Zhang Jiasun. There are many good men in this world other than Zhang Jiasun. Miao Ying's father said with heartache. Would his daughter be traumatized after marrying such a bastard? Or even be single for the rest of his life? Let's talk about men later. As for whether Miao 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 would come back to find happiness or heal herself after she left, it was up to Miao Miao Miao. Miao Ying's father's expression became even worse. He felt that his daughter's heart had been broken by that bastard Zhang Jiasun. The next morning, Ning Shu opened the newspaper and saw that Zhang Jiasun's name was on the front page. It was spreading Zhang Jiasun's evil deeds, especially how he poisoned his father-in-law. They said that Zhang Jiasun was a bastard in human skin. Anyway, Zhang Jiasun was now a household name in this city. Ning Shu put down the newspaper, ate breakfast, and prepared to go to work. Miao Ying's father stopped Ning Shu and said, "You don't have to go to work today. Have a good rest. There's always work to be done." "But I have an important meeting today," Ning Shu said. Miao Ying's father's expression became even more worried. "Miao Miao, my precious daughter, if you're sad, just cry. You don't have to work so hard to numb yourself." Ning Shu was speechless. She wasn't sad at all. How did Miao Ying's father see that she was sad? "Dad, I'm really not sad. Why should I be sad? I should be happy that we exposed Zhang Jiasun's true colors so early and didn't let him hurt us." Ning Shu patted Miao Ying's father's shoulder and said, "Dad, don't worry. I'm not that weak. Just take it as a lesson. I've grown up now. I'm not sad." "Really?" Miao Ying's father didn't believe it. Ning Shu nodded. "Really? Miao 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 had died once. It was time for her to grow up." Ning Shu went to the company to deal with his work. As soon as he arrived, he saw Zhang Jiasun's family making a scene at the company's entrance. Zhang Jiasun's mother cried and said that her evil daughter-in-law had embezzled the money from selling the house. Everyone in the company knew about Zhang Jiasun's matter. When they heard Zhang Jiasun's mother's words, they all showed a look of disdain. Zhang Jiasun was a poor man. His property had been confiscated. How could he let others embezzle the money from the house? Ning Shu felt that the Zhang family was quite thick-skinned. Zhang Jiasun had done such a thing, and this family still had the nerve to come to the company. Ning Shu ignored them. After he finished his work, he went to the law firm and asked the lawyer to prepare a divorce agreement. Ning Shu put the divorce agreement in his bag and went to the detention center. Zhang Jiasun, who was wearing a prisoner's uniform, was brought out. Zhang Jiasun's head had been shaved and he was very thin. Ning Shu looked at Zhang Jiasun's bald head and felt a little disillusioned. She found it very funny. Zhang Jiasun with hair was very handsome. Zhang Jiasun without hair, tisk. When he saw Ning Shu, Zhang Jiasun's expression was very calm. He even showed a gentle smile to Ning Shu. This smile was completely different from Zhang Jiasun's usual affectionate smile. He was relaxed and relieved. Ning Shu frowned. She really couldn't understand Zhang Jiasun. He was very thoughtful. "Miao Miao." Zhang Jiasun called out to Ning Shu. Ning Shu looked at Zhang Jiasun. She wanted to hear what he had to say. "Are you very tired at the company? You look thinner than before." Zhang Jiasun said indifferently as if he was chatting with a friend. However, it made Ning Shu's hair stand on end. This Zhang Jiasun was really strange. Ning Shu shook her head and said, "It's okay. Miao Miao, since you know everything, you must hate me." Zhang Jiasun looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu didn't say anything. Of course, Miao 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 hated him. Zhang Jiasun smiled at Ning Shu. "You look very different from before. The Miao Miao I know is not so strong. What caused you to change? When did you find out about this? You left me in the countryside." Ning Shu said indifferently. "Sure enough?" Zhang Jiasun took a deep breath. "I became like this. One of the reasons I became like this is because of you." When Zhang Jiasun talked about this matter, he didn't have any resentment. His eyebrows were actually calm as he chatted with Ning Shu calmly. Ning Shu narrowed her eyes. This man, Zhang Jiasun, was really too unpredictable. His thoughts were as deep as the sea. It was really hard to imagine that a village kid from the countryside had such deep thoughts. Chapter 468. Ning Shu didn't want to argue with Zhang Jiasun. She took out the divorce agreement from her bag and pushed it in front of Zhang Jiasun. "Sign it. You don't want to go to court again, right?" Zhang Jiasun glanced at Ning Shu. He picked up the divorce agreement and looked at it. He laughed and signed the divorce agreement. He was very straightforward. This made Ning Shu very surprised. She hadn't even taken out her weapon or taken out the video of Zhang Jiasun and Xue Man rolling around together. He had already signed the agreement. It was so smooth that it was surprising. Ning Shu also signed the divorce agreement. Zhang Jiasun looked at Ning Shu. "Are you surprised that I divorced you so easily?" Ning Shu raised her eyebrows and looked at Zhang Jiasun. Zhang Jiasun seemed to have let go of everything and didn't care about anything. Moreover, Zhang Jiasun had nothing now. He didn't have anything to lose. Ning Shu kept the divorce agreement and prepared to leave. Zhang Jiasun called out to Ning Shu. Miao Miao, sit down and talk to me. You probably won't come back to see me in the future. I don't think there's anything to talk about between us. Ning Shu looked at Zhang Jiasun and said, Aren't you curious why I did this to you and the Miao family? Zhang Jiasun asked Ning Shu. He looked at Ning Shu with a gentle gaze. Ning Shu sat down again. Zhang Jiasun said directly, Miao Miao Miao, if I say that I like you, you might not believe me. Ning Shu stared blankly at him, speechless. She regretted listening to Zhang Jiasun's nagging. If what Zhang Jiasun did to Miao 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 was love, then what was love about destroying Miao Miao Miao? Ning Shu could only chuckle. Then what she was doing to Zhang Jiasun was also out of love. She loved Zhang Jiasun? Let go of her hobby? Ning Shu's face trembled. Zhang Jiasun said, I knew you wouldn't believe me. I've known what my mission is since I was a child. My mission is to shoulder the responsibility of the Zhang family and make this impoverished Zhang family prosper. My father is very good to me because I'm smart and have good grades. My father is the most supportive of my studies. Studying is the best way out for a poor child. My success wasn't just my own success. It was the success of the family. You and the Miao family's existence would be my weakness, and the others would say that I was successful because of the Miao Miao family. Ning Shu smiled silently. That's the truth. Zhang Jiasun was not angry. His expression was calm. I know this is the truth, so I want to erase this truth. Ning Shu was speechless. Come to think of it, I've never been myself in my entire life, not even for a day. I have too many things on me, but you're a person who's living a happy life. You're pure and beautiful. Everyone's heart yearns for and loves beautiful things, and I'm no exception. I like you in my heart, and I'll feel bad if I hurt you. Some words that are pretentious become true. Zhang Jiasun looked at Ning Shu. The most relaxing days of my life were actually in prison. Ning Shu stared blankly at him, speechless. Ning Shu felt that Zhang Jiasun was purposely saying this to block her heart. Miao Miao Miao, I once loved you, and I still love you. Zhang Jiasun clutched her heart. When Ning Shu heard this, she felt immense sorrow and pain. This was clearly the original owner's emotion. After experiencing an irreparable injury, hearing such words would only make one feel sorrow and hatred. Zhang Jiasun didn't deserve to say the word love. Ning Shu chanted the clear heart mantra in her heart, suppressing the emotions that were surging like a tidal wave. Only after a while did she calm down. Ning Shu felt that Miao 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 was really miserable. She had caused this result by a freak combination of factors. Zhang Jiasun was willing to sacrifice anything. Even though she said that she loved Miao Miao Miao, she still sacrificed Miao 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 in the end. Ning Shu said sarcastically, What about Shui Man Man? Shui Man Man, hef, Zhang Jiasun laughed. How should I put it? Perhaps I can see my own shadow in Shui Man Man. It's as if I like myself, but in the end, I realize that I don't like myself. Ning Shu, you're crazy. In short, Zhang Jiasun, a person who was completely dark inside and out, liked the pure and kind Miao Miao Miao. However, Zhang Jiasun felt pressured when he was with Miao Miao Miao. To put it bluntly, he felt inferior. Then he killed Miao Miao Miao's family. What kind of fucking dog is this? Ning Shu felt that he had nothing more to say to this guy. He turned around and left. He had been chatting with a crazy person for a long time. Zhang Jiasun's mentality was not normal. Before his personality was complete, he was given a responsibility that was beyond his ability to bear. In order to achieve his goal, he was willing to sacrifice a lot for this responsibility that was deeply ingrained in his bones. But this was not a reason for Zhang Jiasun to hurt others. Zhang Jiasun was still a scumbag, very scumbag. Through hurting Miao Miao Miao, he satisfied the tyrannical pleasure in his heart, even if he liked Miao Miao Miao. Miao Miao. Zhang Jiasun grabbed Ning Shu's hand. Zhang Jiasun's hand was very cold. Ning Shu wanted to shake off Zhang Jiasun's hand, but Zhang Jiasun held it tightly. Ning Shu, move your damn hand away. Zhang Jiasun looked at Ning Shu and smiled. Meow meow meow, without me, you will definitely be very happy. Of course, without you, I will definitely be happy. Ning Shu gritted her teeth. If she did not meet Zhang Jiasun, Meow Meow Meow's life would not be so broken. Zhang Jiasun said again, I don't regret hurting you. If I had to do it again, I would do it again. Zhang Jiasun suddenly hugged Ning Shu. Meow meow, I just don't know how to love you. Ning Shu? Ning Shu directly stepped on Zhang Jiasun's foot with her heel. Zhang Jiasun's expression did not change, as if he did not feel pain. Instead, he had a smile on his face. He let go of Ning Shu and said, You can leave. Fuck, Zhang Jiasun's style was really weird. Ning Shu turned and left. When she reached the door, she turned back and saw that Zhang Jiasun was still looking at her. His expression was very hazy, and there was a faint layer of light covering his body. Meow meow. Zhang Jiasun's lips moved as he watched Ning Shu leave. Ning Shu walked out of the detention center and took a deep breath. Her heart was very uncomfortable. Even if she chanted the clear heart mantra, she could not suppress it. This was the original owner's emotion, the residual emotion in her body. This tragedy sounded like a joke. Now that Zhang Jiasun said that he liked Meow Meow Meow, that he loved Meow 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 in his heart, but he did not regret hurting Meow Meow Meow. Ning Shu only wanted to laugh. Love was such a beautiful word. If hurt was love, then Ning Shu would be speechless. Ding, found qualified soul body. Loading data. A cold mechanical voice sounded. Opening mission system space. Chapter 469. Zhang Jiasun committed suicide. Ning Shu was stunned when he heard the news. When he rushed to the detention center, he saw the dead Zhang Jiasun being carried out with a white cloth covering his body. The Zhang family was immersed in grief. When they saw Ning Shu, Zhang Jiasun's mother pounced on Ning Shu fiercely. Ning Shu dodged. You black-hearted woman. You forced your own man to death. Zhang Jiasun's mother pointed at Ning Shu and scolded him. Her face was full of hatred. Since I married you, the Zhang family has been plagued by all kinds of disasters. You are a jinx. Now even Jiasun has been killed by you. Why didn't you die, you scourge? Ning Shu said faintly, I have divorced him. Zhang Jiasun has nothing to do with me. Everyone in the Zhang family was stunned. Zhang Jiasun's father bent over and looked at Ning Shu with hatred. The son he was so proud of was gone. You're really the most ruthless and rebellious woman I've ever met. You divorced Jiasun the moment he fell from grace and now you're forcing him to his death. Ning Shu didn't take Zhang Jiasun's father's words to heart. Was she supposed to be a soft persimmon that could be bullied by anyone? Was she supposed to let her family be destroyed? Was it treason to protect her own things? The person who forced Zhang Jiasun to death was not me, but you. Ning Shu ignored the Zhang family. Zhang Jiasun's father, as the head of the family, was at least half responsible for Zhang Jiasun's death. Ning Shu watched Zhang Jiasun's body being carried into the crematorium car. The Zhang family glanced at Ning Shu and followed him into the car. Now, the Zhang family seemed to have been stripped of their backbone. Even when facing Ning Shu, they no longer had the confidence they had before. The cowardice in their bones was revealed. In the past, Zhang Jiasun would take care of everything in front of them. Now that Zhang Jiasun was dead, they had no one to rely on in this city. Not only did Zhang Jiasun have to fly up, but he also had to drag the Zhang family with him. Ning Shu entered the detention center and asked the guards how Zhang Jiasun died. The guards said that Zhang Jiasun had stabbed himself in the throat with a toothbrush handle. It was the kind of sharpened plastic toothbrush handle, and it didn't seem like it had been planned for a day. When Ning Shu heard this, he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. How could he do this? In Ning Shu's heart, Zhang Jiasun was the kind of person who thought deeply and would not easily seek death. Perhaps Zhang Jiasun was tired and wanted to get rid of his responsibilities. It was also possible that the nearly 20 years in prison had made him hopeless. His life was already ruined. Ning Shu recalled that Zhang Jiasun had said that Meow 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 would be happy without him, so he committed suicide. Ning Shu shook his head. Zhang Jiasun wasn't the kind of person who would do everything for others. Meow 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 might be one of the factors. As for Zhang Jiasan's suicide, Ning Shu didn't feel anything. There was a cause and effect. Zhang Jiasan had caused the death of the original owner's family. Now, Zhang Jiasan was just atoning for his sins. Moreover, Zhang Jiasan had died just like that. Ning Shu felt that living in pain was the greatest torture for a person. Repeated torment was the most painful. Death was the end of all troubles. Death wasn't scary. Living in pain was scary. According to Ning Shu's wish, Zhang Jiasan had to be in prison for 20 years. When he came out, he would be 50 years old and struggling to survive. He didn't expect Zhang Jiasan to die just like that. Obviously, Zhang Jiasan also knew what his fate was. The Zhang family carried Zhang Jiasan's urn to the company's entrance and made a scene, saying that Ning Shu had forced him to die. She had forced him to die? Ning Shu didn't speak to Zhang Jiasan's mother, who was making a scene. Instead, he said to Zhang Jiasan's father, "Zhang Jiasan and I are divorced. Moreover, I know that Zhang Jiasan gave you a lot of money. If you continue to make a scene like this, I will directly call the police and let the court re-examine the money Zhang Jiasan embezzled. Don't talk about asking me for money." Zhang Jiasan's father pursed his lips and glanced at Ning Shu. In the end, he still left and returned to the countryside. Moreover, it was time for Zhang Jiasan to be buried. Ning Shu couldn't let the Zhang family make a scene at the company's entrance. People sympathized with the weak. Seeing that the Zhang family's son had died and the white-haired people were so pitiful, they directly forgot how hateful Zhang Jiasan's actions were. Moreover, Ning Shu couldn't give them money. The Zhang family was like leeches. If he gave them money once, there would be a next time, and a next time. If they were weak once, they would think that you were in the wrong. They would drill into your blood vessels and suck your blood. Ning Shu knew that Zhang Jiasan's father had some money in his hands. However, he didn't intend to get the money back. Firstly, it wasn't much. Secondly, if he killed all of them, it wouldn't be good for the reputation of the original owner, Meow Meow Meow. If nothing went wrong, Meow 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 would be in charge of the company in the future. When doing business with others, if one's reputation was ruined, people would think that one's character was bad. Without Zhang Jiasan, the Zhang family was like a loach in a ditch, unable to become a dragon. Meow 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 had to deal with the Zhang family's matters by herself. Moreover, all the business knowledge that he had learned would be left in the mind of this body. Ning Shu let out a long breath. The mission this time could be considered completed. Meow Meow Meow's parents were still alive, but she was missing a husband. Ning Shu started to work without any distractions. He circled around the company, the Meow family's home, and the factory. Now that the company was tied together, there weren't any miscellaneous things. After confirming the absolute position of the Meow family in the company, the Meow family was the absolute master of the company. On the contrary, the employees didn't have to think too much about it. When Ning Shu had completely grasped the company's matters, she and Meow Meow Meow's mother would often go traveling. The two of them were like sisters, taking photos wherever they went. During the journey, Ning Shu felt that her heart was very calm. Even the clear heart incantation didn't have such an effect. Ever since Zhang Jiasan's matter broke out, especially the words that Zhang Jiasan said to her in the detention center, this body had been feeling depressed. However, during the journey, climbing the mountains, watching the sun rise in the east, standing by the sea, and following the ebb and flow of the tide, the depression in her heart was slowly disappearing. Yes, this world is very exciting. The pain that we imagine is actually not that painful. Ning Shu also felt very carefree. Diving in the ocean, walking in the desert, jumping from the sky, looking at the old things in the museum. Living was a kind of excitement. She had been working hard to live. Seeing countless worlds, walking through countless worlds. Perhaps she would be erased in the next mission, but at least she was alive at this moment. Ding, mission completed. Leaving the mission world. 2333's voice sounded. Ning Shu felt a wave of dizziness. When she woke up, she was already in the system space. Looking down, she found that her soul was stronger than before. Moreover, this mission didn't consume her soul. Instead, she felt that it was strengthened. Chapter 470. After completing a quest, his soul became stronger instead of weaker. This was something he had never encountered before. Ning Shu touched his body. It felt like he was touching jelly. His soul had indeed become stronger. Ning Shu was a little confused. He asked 2333, "Why do I feel like I didn't use up much of my soul in this world? I feel stronger than before." The purification of the soul is also a kind of cultivation. A person's soul is very strong. It is strong enough to resist temptation. It is tough and strong. It is not so fragile. 2333 explained. Ning Shu was a little surprised. She was a quest taker, but she was also a person with her own thoughts and feelings. It was probably because she was traveling in the quest world. Her mood was very relaxed. Now that she was back in the system space, she didn't feel very tired. It was not like before when she didn't want to do anything but sleep first. There was always a feeling of disgust and boredom, but she didn't feel that now. Ning Shu felt that this was a good idea. After the quest ended, she could stay in the quest world for a while and walk around. Not only could she relax, but she could also slowly heal the heartbreak of the client. The clients were all hurt, full of hatred and misery. If she could let go of some of it and start a new life, it would be better. She could relax herself and cultivate her soul. She could also help the client reduce some of the misery. It was a mutually beneficial thing. "Don't be in such a hurry to send me back in the future. I'll come back when I say I'm back," Ning Shu said. "Okay, but you can only stay in a world for 3 or 4 years. After a long time, the damage to your soul will be great," 2333 said. Ning Shu nodded. "Let's see the points." Ning Shu's status panel appeared in front of him. Number 23333 Name, Ning Shu, Beginner Quest Taker. Age, 27 points, 400,000 250000 Soul, 200 HP, 60 Wisdom, 100 Charm, 3 Luck, 34 Spirit, 120 Martial Strength, 55 Faith, 65 Aptitude, 26 Merit, 36 Skills. 5th Ring Spear Technique, Trash Fighting Technique, Beginner Peerless Martial Arts, Beginner Business Management Knowledge Honorary Title, Goddess of War, Selfless Ancestor Halo, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Sister Model Worker, Chen-Shi's Blessing, Leader Halo, Grass Blessing, Best Friend of a Lifetime, Meow Meow Meow's Blessing, Fulfill Meow Meow Meow's Wish. I don't want to be deceived by Zhang Jiasen anymore. I want to protect my father's business and make Zhang Jiasen, who originally had nothing, lose everything. Mission completion, 100 points. Obtained 250,000 points. Obtained 30 attribute points. Ning Shu saw that there were 250,000 points, 30 attribute points, and 5 points of faith. He also received the Best Friend of a Lifetime aura. Although he didn't know what this halo was for, he was still happy to get it. The harvest this time was not bad, and Ning Shu was satisfied. This Best Friend for Life aura is not bad. It can make others trust you more. 2333 said. So that's how it works. Ning Shu distributed the attribute points. Of the 30 attribute points, 15 points were allocated to intelligence, 10 points to force, and 5 points to aptitude. Ning Shu tried to add some merit points to his attribute points, but he realized that he could not add any. Faith and merit points are calculated by me. There are other ways to calculate them. You can't add these 2 attributes. Ning Shu nodded, and the attributes on the panel changed. Number 23333 Name, Ning Shu, Beginner Mission Enforcer. Age, 27 points, 650,000 Soul, 200 HP, 60 Wisdom, 10015 Charm, 3 Luck, 34 Spirit, 120 Force, 5510 Faith, 11 Aptitude, 265 Merit, 36 Skills, 5 Ring Spear Technique, Trash Fighting Technique, Beginner Peerless Martial Arts, Beginner Level Business Management Knowledge Honorary Title, War God Empress, Selfless Ancestor Aura, Mother of the World, Queen's Blessing, Model Worker, Chen-Shi's Blessing, Leader Aura, Grass Blessing, Best Friend of a Lifetime, Meow Meow Meow's Blessing. My points have reached 500,000. I can open the virtual space. 2333 Ning Shu asked, "Do you want to open the virtual space?" Ning Shu didn't ask what the virtual space was. Instead he asked, "Do I need points?" To become an intermediate mission enforcer, she needed 3 million points. 3 million! She had to save as much points as possible to become an intermediate mission enforcer. Then she could go to the intermediate plane to do missions and have more treasures. The cultivation plane and the immortal plane were all higher level planes. The laws there were stable and there were more treasures. I don't need points. This is a benefit. 2333 said. Ning Shu immediately said, "Open it." Wait a moment. I'll open the channel to the virtual space for you. 2333 said. After a while, a ring with a diameter of about 1 meter appeared on the ground. 2333 said, "This is the passage to the virtual space. You need to go to the virtual space. Just step on the ring and it will send you to the virtual space." What's the virtual space? Ning Shu asked. It's a place for mission enforcers to communicate. It's specially created for mission enforcers to communicate. You can trade and buy all kinds of things inside. The system store basically has everything. Ning Shu was surprised. Then I'll meet a lot of mission enforcers there? Of course. This is a place specially created by the higher-ups for mission enforcers to communicate. Naturally, there will be a lot of mission enforcers. 2333 said. Ning Shu wanted to see what this virtual space looked like. She stepped into the virtual space's tunnel of pain and immediately felt a strong force pulling her body. It was as if she was falling rapidly, and her head was dizzy. When she opened her eyes again, she saw that she was standing on a street. The ground under her feet was green stone. It was the kind of stone that was very simple. However, it was very smooth and shiny, just like the floor tiles. The surrounding buildings were all in an ancient style. This was a city. It was very big. Ning Shu thought that she would see something beyond her imagination. Was this the result? There were all kinds of shops, tea houses, and restaurants on the street. People passed by. They were all souls. There were both men and women. The strength of the soul was different. Some were heavy, while others were thin and transparent. Ning Shu even saw a person's soul that was very old. His hair was white and his face was full of wrinkles. Ning Shu asked curiously, "Are mission enforcers that old?" Of course not. This is because you've been in the mission world for too long. It's probably because you're at the peak of your power and can't bear to leave. Or maybe the mission is too difficult and you've spent too much time in the mission world. Don't think that your soul won't age. So I suggest that you don't stay in the mission world for more than 3 or 4 years. It's very harmful to your soul. 2333 explained to Ning Shu. Ning Shu nodded. I'll remember. Just now, he saw that the person was very old and his soul was very thin. It looked like it was about to dissipate. He knew that 2333 said that for his own good. Chapter 471. Ning Shu had thought that the virtual space would be grand and majestic. Perhaps there would be flying saucers everywhere. He did not expect to see an ancient city. However, the people in the city were all dressed differently. Some wore ancient costumes, some t-shirts and shorts, some were in suits and leather shoes, and some were in animal skins. I thought it would be an amazing place, Ning Shu said to 2333. I don't know how long this virtual space has existed. This place is for the quest takers to interact with each other, not for them to enjoy themselves. This ancient architectural style is the best, 2333 said. Ning Shu looked at the quest takers passing by him. There were so many people coming and going. He sighed and said, "So many quest takers. Are there many? Compared to the vast and endless universe, these quest takers are just a drop in the ocean. Quest takers are far from enough. The beginner quest takers will be erased due to various reasons. The speed of their disappearance is faster than finding a qualified soul," 2333 said disapprovingly. Ning Shu asked doubtfully, "If there are so few qualified souls, why do they have to be erased? Can't they be given a chance?" 2333 snorted. "Letting you become a quest taker is giving you a chance. You must use cruel means to make the quest takers understand their position. If you fail, you will naturally be erased. This is a process of elimination. The strong survive, and the weak are eliminated. If you are given a chance to live, as long as you are not erased, you will have the ability to live forever. Ning Shu felt a chill down his spine. He did not want to dwell on this problem. The more he thought about it, the more troubled he became. Ning Shu toured the city. In this place, points were equivalent to money. Points could be used to buy many things. There were also some quest takers who set up their own stalls to sell things. However, most of them were bartering. Ning Shu saw that some of the quest takers had some rare treasures on their carpets. However, the things they wanted to trade were also rare. Ning Shu saw many treasures, but when he saw the price, he gulped silently. Are the people in these shops also mission enforcers? Ning Shu saw that many of the shop owners were souls. This leads to the problem of division of labor. Points are very important to mission enforcers, just like currency. Some people rely on doing business to earn points. They are not willing to do missions. As long as they can survive, there is no possibility of being erased. But people like this usually give up on becoming a high-level quest taker. Even if they have enough points, they won't be promoted. 2333 said, there is a limit to how much they can survive. Ning Shu, there are more exciting worlds up there. You will meet more powerful people. Instead of being a frog in a well for the rest of your life, why don't you slowly climb up? 2333 said. Ning Shu had always been determined to do quests. In a person's life, they had to have a goal and slowly work towards it. Moreover, doing quests would allow them to experience all kinds of worlds. It was much more interesting than staying in this virtual space. Ning Shu looked up at the restaurant in front of him and asked, "Can a soul still eat?" Seeing people going in and out of the restaurant, Ning Shu also wanted to go in. It is just to satisfy the appetite of the stomach. It is useless to eat. As long as you are a human, you will have an appetite. 2333 said casually. Ning Shu licked his lips. He had not eaten since he died. How could he eat the same thing as when he was using someone else's body when he entered a mission? Ning Shu walked into the restaurant. A waiter came to serve Ning Shu. He looked like a waiter in an ancient restaurant with a towel on his shoulder. This waiter was also a soul, but his soul did not look as strong as Ning Shu's. "I want to eat something," Ning Shu said. The waiter brought Ning Shu to a table. Ning Shu saw 3 women sitting at the table next to him. There were desserts and coffee on the table. Ning Shu did not expect the restaurant to have such a thing. She looked at the menu and ordered a roast duck and a few home-cooked dishes. The waiter Ning Shu said, "The total is 1,000 points. Please pay the bill first." Ning Shu was speechless. She didn't know how to pay the bill. "How do I pay?" Ning Shu asked. When Ning Shu said this, everyone looked at Ning Shu, especially the woman sitting at the table next to Ning Shu. She said directly, "So this is your first time in the virtual space. 2333, how do I pay?" Ning Shu asked in his mind. "You asked me this and that. I forgot to tell you. You need to get a points card. You can just pay with the card." Pay with a card? Okay, even the mainframe existed. It was normal to pay with a card. "Sir, this must be your first time here. We can get a card here." The waiter didn't laugh at Ning Shu. He let Ning Shu enter his information and get a points card before paying the bill. Ning Shu looked around. There were many people in the restaurant, and the food was different. It was as if the restaurant had everything. Ning Shu noticed that the 3 women sitting at the table next to him were looking at him. They were whispering to each other. 2333, did I do something wrong? Ning Shu was speechless. He felt like a monkey being stared at. They said you're ugly. 2333 said. Ning Shu stared blankly at him, speechless. How am I ugly? In any case, I am still a delicate and pretty little beauty. Ning Shu was most proud of his hair. When he was alive, he didn't even have eyebrows because he had chemotherapy every day. But after he died, he found that his hair was very soft. Now that he was called ugly, Ning Shu turned to look at the 3 women. How beautiful could they be? Ning Shu looked at the 3 women. Their skin was so white and tender. Ning Shu touched his face. It felt like jelly and very tender. They were either very pure or very seductive. Either way, they were all beauties. Their eyes were like water, and their legs were white. They were very beautiful. Compared to them, he was ugly. Ning Shu swallowed his anger. They will more or less increase their charm. Your charm is too low. When your charm is high, it will slowly change according to your facial features and body characteristics. 2333 said, your charm of 3 points is indeed too low. Ning Shu scratched his head. He didn't have enough attribute points. To ensure his safety and prevent accidents from happening in the mission world, he had to increase his combat strength. 500 IQ was the minimum. He only had 100 IQ. At this stage, Ning Shu felt that he was too weak. It would be a waste to add points to his charm. Charm was secondary. After all, he had to enter the body of the original owner to complete the mission. No one could see what he looked like. Attribute points should be added in more important places. When the dishes were served, Ning Shu looked at the delicious dishes. She tore off the roast duck leg and took a bite. It tasted great and left a fragrant taste in her mouth. After swallowing it, the food seemed to disappear. She couldn't digest things in her spirit state. She didn't know where the food went. It was quite amazing. Chapter 472. Ning Shu hadn't eaten so happily in a long time. As he chewed on the roast duck, he saw the 3 women staring at him. Ning Shu, what's wrong now? It's fine if they say she's ugly, but what's wrong with them now? They're saying you came out of nowhere and haven't eaten meat before, 2333 said. Ning Shu? What are you looking at? Haven't you seen me eat before? Ning Shu said unhappily. You eat your desserts, I'll eat my roast duck. The 3 women snorted and chatted on their own. They didn't even want to talk to Ning Shu, probably because they thought Ning Shu was too weak. You don't know, I met a weirdo in a world. I was doing one difficult mission after another and was too tired, so I wanted to go to a low-level realm to do something easier. A woman with enchanting eyebrows and a lazy aura exuded from her body said. Her soul looked very strong, just like a real body. This woman was stronger than the other 2. Ning Shu listened and chewed on the roast duck leg. He pricked up his ears to listen to what they were saying. Sister Wei, what happened to you? One of the women asked. In that low-level realm, I failed my mission. If I didn't have something to pay for my life, I would have been fucking killed. When the seductive woman talked about this, her expression was very bad. I met the stubborn man. No matter how I flirted, he didn't like me. His favorability was always at 0, and it didn't change at all. I even thought he was a robot. The seductive woman sat up straight, her brows furrowed. She looked very speechless. The other 2 women looked at each other and laughed. Also, there's a man that your sister Wei can't understand. I'm afraid you didn't try your best. You're about to become a high-level mission taker. Didn't try my best? I really did try my best. The enchanting woman waved her hand. The more I think about it, the more I can't figure it out. The more I think about it, the more depressed I get. I ran to that plane again, and in the end, that man actually fell in love with the person I entrusted him with, his own fiancée. When I was here, he didn't like me. After I left, he fell in love with me, and the one he likes is the original owner? The enchanting woman was very angry. Obviously, that man insulted her charm, making her angry. Ning Shu was speechless. Why did it sound so familiar? Ning Shu looked at the woman. This woman couldn't be Song Ning. She had become the CEO, and Song Ning's body had become a mission enforcer. Ning Shu didn't expect to meet her here. He looked at her. She was really beautiful and enchanting. Images of her flirting with men appeared in his mind. Of course, Ning Shu did not dare to run over and say that she was the CEO. He couldn't do such a stupid thing. As Ning Shu ate, she pricked up her ears to hear what they were talking about. Sister Wei, what are you going to do? At that time, I wanted to take him down. This time, my entrusted person directly became the female lead, Anwan. It's better to use the female lead's halo to capture the male lead. Ning Shu's hand trembled, and he almost dropped his chopsticks. But the female lead, Anwan, was already married to the supporting male lead. So messy. What happened in the end? The other 2 asked curiously. Ning Shu was also curious about the result. The enchanting woman waved her hand and clicked her tongue. Men are all the same. In the end, it was so easy to get her. In the end, the male and female leads got married, and the fiancé became cannon fodder. When she said this, the enchanting woman shrugged her shoulders and took a sip of coffee. We knew that no one can escape from Sister Wei's hands. Teach us a little later. The two women looked at the woman called Sister Wei with admiration. Sister Wei waved her hand and said lightly, "Every man likes a woman to love him wholeheartedly. Men are cheap. They don't care if you're too good to them. For words, loosen the reins only to grasp them better. Once you're in the role, the other party will naturally think that you really love him. Don't worry about men. They can be used to fill the emptiness. There are too many men in the world. Why can't men be stallions and women can't be free? Women can still be free and unrestrained." Sister Wei said lightly. Ning Shu drank a mouthful of soup and stood up to leave. He left the restaurant and let out a long sigh. Then he wandered around the city and learned about the city. Ning Shu was not in a good mood. He said to 2333, "Let's go back." Ning Shu returned to the system's space in a flash. He had a lot of doubts in his heart. He said to 2333, "I already helped Gong Luo get rid of the plot's control. Why did she still go and use Yuan's body to bring the plot back to square one?" Moreover, Gong Luo and Song Ning already had a good ending. Now that Sister Wei, because she suffered a setback because of him, wanted to regain her face and went back to seduce Gong Luo. And it was Yuan who was already married. Then Gong Luo took her wife. At least in the plot, Gong Luo took Yuan's virginity. Now Gong Luo's situation was even worse than in the plot. So it was wrong for her to resist Sister Wei? God, it was so messy. Gong Luo already had a happy future. Why did she have to cross the line and tie Gong Luo and Yuan together again? I've said it before. Every mission taker has their own way of doing missions. The natural law of that world is to let the male lead be together. It's not wrong for you to counterattack for Gong Luo. It's also not wrong for her to bring the plot back to square one. Just follow your heart. If Gong Luo and Yuan get together again in that world, it doesn't have much to do with you. Gong Luo couldn't control his own heart. You helped him counterattack once. The second time, he lost himself in the charm of a mission taker. This is something that can't be helped, 2333 said. Ning Shu wiped her face. Even a woman like her couldn't resist this kind of charm, let alone a man. Ning Shu only just realized that beauty and charm were also weapons that could make people addicted and happy. Therefore, Ning Shu decided that she would recite the clear heart mantra more and cultivate her heart to resist the temptation of the outside world. This time it was a woman. If it was a man next time, a man with unparalleled charm was flirting with her like this, Ning Shu felt that she might not be able to control herself. However, Ning Shu still felt that Sister Wei was doing this for her own selfish reasons. She wanted to break up Gong Luo and Song Ning, who were about to get married, just to prove her own charm. Paying too much attention to these things would weaken one's heart. Ning Shu was very satisfied with her appearance. Maybe one day she could become beautiful, not now when even surviving was difficult. There was no need to pay attention to the details. Ning Shu felt that Gong Luo was a smart person. When the mission taker left, the dazzling and charming aura would disappear from the mission taker. That was the mission takers, not the mission takers. Moreover, everyone's personality was different. She hoped that Gong Luo could see the clues. If Gong Luo really fell in love, it wouldn't be with Yuan. It would be with the mission taker in Yuan's body. Chapter 473. Ning Shu didn't dwell on Gong Luo's matter. Everyone had their own fate. Ning Shu sat on the sofa and began to meditate and cultivate her soul. When she was almost done with her cultivation, she watered the potted plants. Although these potted plants would never wither and would always be like this, Ning Shu still wanted to water them. After reading for a while, Ning Shu thought that one day he would be able to finish reading all the books on this bookshelf. At least he would be able to get the title of erudite. Time didn't pass in the system space. Ning Shu put down the book after he finished reading. He then went to the exchange shop to exchange for fasting pills, water, medicine, and antidote pills. When everything was ready, Ning Shu said to 2333, "Let's go do the quest." Ning Shu suddenly felt dizzy. When his soul merged with his body, all the hair on his body stood up. His muscles were stiff, and his heart was pounding nonstop. It was very dangerous. Ning Shu opened his eyes instantly. Before he could check his surroundings, he saw a big tiger pouncing towards him. It had the aura of an animal. Ning Shu stabbed the thing in his hand into the tiger's eye. This body was also very agile. A black sword accurately pierced the tiger's eye. Ning Shu twisted the sword with all his might. Hot blood spurted out. The tiger roared, twitched, and died. When the tiger died, Ning Shu fell to the ground and panted. He looked around. This was a carved stone house. He was locked in a metal cage. There was only him and a tiger in the cage. Obviously, someone wanted him to fight this tiger. The stone door opened, and a man in black walked in. Ning Shu looked at him. Seeing the bun on his head, he knew that this quest was set in ancient times. The man's aura was cold. There was a scar on his face that ran through his entire face, making him look very cold and dark. This time is not bad. It took less time than last time. The man said. His voice was a little hoarse and cold. Listening to him, it felt like a snake hissing and flicking its tongue. It was very uncomfortable. When this body saw this person, a feeling of awe and fear welled up in its heart. Ning Shu didn't accept the plot at this moment. She just said yes. You have to speed up your training. Master has a task for you, the man said. Yes. The man glanced at Ning Shu. His voice was firm and sinister as he said, Remember, you are loyal to the third prince. Our master decides whether we live or die. What we need to do is to follow his orders. Even if it costs us our lives, we must complete the mission. Was this brainwashing? Before Ning Shu could react, he blurted out, Yes. The man nodded in satisfaction. Just rest for a while. There will be a new test later. After saying that, he turned around and left. Ning Shu simply lay down and began to accept the plot. The original owner was called 11. He was a nameless orphan. The reason he was called 11 was because there was a code name of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. The people here did not have names, only code names. This space hidden deep in the mountains was the place where the third prince trained his men of sacrifice. The original owner was a man of sacrifice. He had lived here for as long as he could remember. The training here was very cruel. Everyone climbed out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. They were trained to be ready to die for their master, the third prince. 11 did not reject this kind of life. She was an orphan and had been influenced by this kind of life. Her way of life was like this. 11's mission this time was very simple. It was to protect a girl called Shangguanqing Ro. This Shangguanqing Ro was the girl that the third prince liked. Shangguanqing Ro was the daughter of the Minister of Rites. She was beautiful and cute. She was straightforward and not pretentious. Actually, this Shangguanqing Ro was a transmigrator. She knew how to dance on horseback and sing things like, You are my little apple, no matter how much I love you, it's never too much. These unique songs and dances were very attractive. The first person to notice Shangguanqing Ro was the third prince. The third prince had a very good impression of this special girl. Shangguanqing Ro was not an ancient person. She did not care about the boundaries between men and women. After getting familiar with the third prince, Shangguanqing Ro would often visit the prince's residence. The two of them would often go sightseeing. They were like a couple. Very quickly, Shangguanqing Ro attracted the attention of the other princes. The third prince knew that the fight for the throne was very dangerous, so he found a woman of sacrifice to protect Shangguanqing Ro. Shangguanqing Ro maintained a good relationship with all the princes. It could be said that they were more than friends but not yet lovers. Even the little princes in the palace liked to play with her. These little princes were at the age where they liked to play. Shangguanqing Ro always had something interesting to play with. The third prince really liked Shangguanqing Ro. He wanted Shangguanqing Ro to belong to him wholeheartedly. But Shangguanqing Ro was a modern person. She was an independent and advanced person. How could she endure such a tyrannical request without any freedom? She also had her own social circle and friends. Shangguanqing Ro originally had a good impression of this noble man. But she could not stand his tyranny. In the end, Shangguanqing married the fifth prince. The two of them were very loving. The fifth prince did not take in any concubines because of Shangguanqing. The third prince looked at the happy couple and smiled coldly. He became even more hostile towards the fifth prince. He did not hold back when he attacked Shangguanqing. Every time Shangguanqing was about to be harmed, she would be saved by someone, turning the misfortune into a blessing. The third prince wanted to destroy Shangguanqing. I love you, you have to love me. If you don't love me, I'll kill you. Since I can't have you, I'll destroy you. Then I'll hug your corpse and spend the rest of my life with you. In this battle for the throne, the third prince lost. The fifth prince ascended the throne. Shangguanqing became the empress. But there was still no concubine in the harem. The third prince was finally killed by the fifth prince. From then on, the emperor and the empress lived happily together. The original owner's wish, to not let his master die. Shi could not understand. His master was so good to Shangguanqing. He gave her everything she wanted. The only condition was for Shangguanqing to be loyal to his master. Shangguanqing was very close to the other princes, but she said they were friends. Shi thought that his master was so good. He even said that his master did not understand love and only knew how to rob. Ningxu sighed. Look, this is a loyal servant. When he was alive, he risked his life for his master. After he died, he even gave his soul to save his master. How successful was this brainwashing? Ningxu did not know if Shi had feelings for the third prince or if he was just purely loyal. But this mission? Damn it, she was only a death warrior. How could she influence the fight between these important people? How could she influence the change of a dynasty? She had no right to speak in front of the third prince. She only needed the third prince to give the order, then she would charge forward with her sword. Ningxu. Chapter 474. Death soldiers did not need to speak, they only needed to wave their swords, and could do anything for their master. Even if there was a cliff in front of them, if their master said to jump, they would jump without hesitation. Ningxu carefully considered this mission in his heart. If he transmigrated into the emperor, he could directly give the throne to the third prince. The third prince, who had become the emperor, could easily recruit Shangguanqing into the palace. The third prince also liked to seek death. To put it bluntly, if he was not satisfied, he would be in pain, and if he was satisfied, he would be bored. Ningxu analyzed 11's wish. She said she would not let her master die, so she wanted to change the third prince's fate of being killed. As for whether the third prince could become the emperor, it had nothing to do with her. But if the third prince did not become the emperor, he would be killed in the end. Especially with his death-seeking attitude of using every possible method to kill the female lead, he would definitely not be able to bear the consequences. In fact, the third prince should have been a scumbag of an ex. It was not that he did not love him, but that he loved him too much. It was tiring to have such a master. Forget it, I'll just take it one step at a time. Ningxu sat in the cage and began to practice her ultimate martial arts. Since she was a death soldier, the higher her martial arts, the better. That way, her chances of survival would be higher. This was a profession where she was ready to die at any time. Ningxu did not want to die during a mission. If she failed, she would be killed. Luckily, this world had a lot of spiritual energy, so it was easy to practice her ultimate martial arts. Hearing the sound of a heavy stone door opening, Ningxu stopped her practice and stood up. The man with the scar on his face from before walked in. Ningxu knew that he was the leader of this training base, codename 1, who had carried out many missions. Now go do the next mission. 1 was very cold to Ningxu. Ningxu nodded and followed 1 out of the stone door. She saw 1 open another stone door. Go in. This is your second mission. You have to kill all the prey inside. 1 pushed Ningxu into the cave and closed the stone door behind her. As soon as Ningxu entered, he smelled a disgusting fishy smell and the hissing sound of the snake's tongue. Looking around, there were many snakes. These snakes were entwined together and crawling in the stone room. Ningxu got goosebumps all over. Fuck, this was the most disgusting thing. Moreover, these snakes were of different colors and were all poisonous. Actually, it probably wanted to kill her. How could she kill so many snakes? Ning Shu cut the snake that was crawling towards her in half. Ning Shu continuously swam towards her. Ning Shu activated her qi and stepped on the wall. She flew a few steps and found an open space where there were no snakes. Now, not only did they have to kill these snakes, they also had to prevent being bitten by these poisonous snakes. Ning Shu regretted not exchanging for realgar powder. In the future, he would definitely exchange for realgar powder. Ning Shu killed these snakes. The snakes were cut in half, and their severed limbs kept writhing. In the end they died. The smell in the stone room became more and more unpleasant. The fishy smell of the snakes and the sticky stench of blood made people suffocate. Ning Shu looked at these snakes. He did not know when he would be able to kill all of them. He waited at the door for Ning Shu to complete his task. After a long time, he opened the stone door. Ning Shu had just killed the last snake. He looked at the snake corpses in the stone room. His face was expressionless. He did not praise Ning Shu. He said, "You have passed the second test. There is still one more test." Ning Shu was very tired. He could not even lift his arm. He said to Yi, "Can I rest first? I am very tired." Yi glanced at Ning Shu. The last test was very simple. You do not need to rest. Very simple? Ning Shu followed Yi into the stone room. This stone room was very clean. There was a stone bed. On the stone bed, there was a swaddling cloth. Ning Shu walked in to take a look. There was a baby in the swaddling cloth. At this moment, a pair of black eyes were looking around. Bubbles were coming out of his mouth. When he saw Ning Shu, he made a babbling sound. When he opened his mouth, there were no teeth. There were only pink gums. Ning Shu looked at the swaddling cloth. There were many patches on it. At first glance, he knew that this was a child from a poor family. Ning Shu had a bad feeling in his heart. He looked at it. Yi's face was cold. He said to Ning Shu, "This is your last test. Kill this child." Ning Shu's heart tightened. "But this child has nothing to do with us." As soon as she looked at Ning Shu, her eyes suddenly became fierce. "Are you the one who should say that? We are the sword in the master's hand. As long as the master gives the order, no matter who the target is, we must kill. Even if it is a baby. Kill him." Yi pointed at the child on the bed. "This is your last task. If you do not complete this task, you are not qualified. You cannot be assigned tasks by the master." Perhaps the baby sensed danger, or perhaps Yi's voice scared him. He began to cry at the top of his voice. The stone room was filled with the child's cries. Ning Shu's palms were sweating as he held the sword hilt. His heart sank into an unprecedented struggle and confusion. If he did not kill this child, he would not be able to leave this base. What about his task? She would be obliterated. But this child had no enmity with him. He did not even know anything. He was ignorant. This was a life. Ning Shu did not feel any psychological pressure when he killed those tigers and snakes. But now he had to kill a person who had no enmity with him. Ning Shu's whole body was covered in cold sweat. The cold sweat on his forehead flowed into his eyelids. His eyes were sore and painful. But Ning Shu did not have the heart to rub his eyes. Was he going to kill an innocent person for his task? Using an innocent baby in exchange for his own life. Could he do this? Yes. No. Ning Shu felt unprecedented confusion and helplessness. This was a situation he had never encountered before in his previous missions. What should he do? This was using this life to complete his task. But this child did not know anything and had never done anything to hurt him. Was he going to do this? Ning Shu could seek justice for the person who had entrusted him, but this child had nothing to do with the task. What should he do? Killing an innocent person like this, and an ignorant baby at that? The baby was not to blame, and it was still an innocent child. Ning Shu's mind was in a mess. Her mind was a mess. Ning Shu felt like her spirit was about to collapse. She was confused and confused. Should he do anything to survive? Should he do anything to survive? He looked at Ning Shu with cold eyes and said, "You just need to raise your hand and stab the sword into this child's heart. This is the simplest task. Remember, you are a kamikaze soldier." Ning Shu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. A kamikaze soldier. This kind of training was simply inhumane. This kind of training was to eliminate the pity and sympathy in human nature. It was to turn people into machines without humanity. Under the throne of an emperor were piles of bones. Stepping on these bones to create a staircase, step by step, one ascended to the throne. Chapter 475. As long as the sword pierced through, her persistence would vanish and she would no longer be bound. If it happened once, there would be a second time. If it happened too many times, she would become numb and would no longer be entangled like this. Ning Shu gripped the hilt of the sword so tightly that the veins on the back of her hand popped out. "Kill him, kill him." A cold voice rang in her ears. It was either you die or I die. If the person in front of her was her enemy, Ning Shu would raise her sword and fight without hesitation. However, this was an unarmed baby who had no enmity with her. 2333, what should I do? Ning Shu asked 2333 for help. 2333 was silent for a moment and asked, "What do you want to do?" "I don't want to kill him." After saying this, Ning Shu's body relaxed and her mind became clear. She didn't want to kill this child. This child had nothing to do with her. The system was silent. 2333, please help me. Ning Shu saw 2333 was silent and begged. "There's a fake death pill in the system store. I'll get one for you. But don't report me. This is against the rules. I'm risking being formatted to help you. This is the last time. If I'm found out, both of us will be wiped out," 2333 said. Ning Shu was happy. "Thank you, 2333. Don't worry, I will exchange for these things in advance." A pill appeared in Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu's floating heart suddenly calmed down. It seemed that in the future, not only would she need to exchange for survival necessities, she would also need to exchange for this kind of thing. Only by exchanging for something in advance could she use it in the quest. "Have you thought about it?" Ning Shu asked. "With your mentality, you can't be a death warrior. You don't have to go on this quest." "I can do it." Ning Shu quickly walked to the bedside and covered the wailing baby's mouth. Then, under everyone's gaze, she stabbed the sword into the baby's left chest and pulled it out, leaving behind a trail of blood. The stone room that was noisy just a moment ago was now quiet. Only Ning Shu and Yi's breathing could be heard. He glanced at Ning Shu and walked over. He placed his hand on the baby's pulse and placed it on the baby's nose. After waiting for a while and confirming that the baby was dead, he said to Ning Shu, "Okay." Ning Shu asked, "Can I bury him?" When he looked at Ning Shu, his eyes were very sharp. Finally, he grunted. Only then did Ning Shu slowly pick up the dead child from the stone bed and leave the stone room. "Wait a moment," said he. Ning Shu's heart skipped a beat. He turned around and asked calmly, "Is there anything else?" "Come back quickly. Come with me to see the master," said. Ning Shu nodded and quickly left with the baby in his arms. After leaving the huge cave, he saw a forest. Ning Shu quickly ran into the forest. He found some herbs and put them in his mouth to chew. He untied the baby's clothes. There was a sword wound on the left side of the baby's chest. Ning Shu put the herbs in his mouth on his chest to stop the bleeding. 2333 said that the baby's heart was on the right side. That was why she dared to stab the baby on the left side. It could be considered a blessing in disguise. There were only endless mountains nearby. There was no one living here. What should he do with the baby? It was impossible for her to walk out of the mountains and find a family to adopt the baby. He was still waiting for him. There was no time. Damn, why was it so annoying? Moreover, the effect of the fake death medicine was about to wear off. Ning Shu's heart was annoyed. He chewed the herbs in his mouth and applied them to the baby. However, the baby's bleeding finally stopped. He took a fasting pill and stuffed it into the baby's mouth. The fasting pill turned into a warm stream and flowed into the baby's mouth. Ning Shu didn't know what to do with the baby. He couldn't just leave him here. He would definitely be taken away by a wild beast. Only death awaited. She put in so much effort, but in the end, he still died. Ning Shu carried the baby and stepped on a tree trunk. He stood on a branch and looked at the forest. He saw a female wolf passing by under the tree. Behind the female wolf were a few wolf pups. Ning Shu had an idea. He quietly stole one of the wolf pups. He stained the baby and the baby with the wolf's scent and followed the wolf to the wolf's den. Ning Shu could only try. He just didn't know if the female wolf was willing to raise the baby. He fed the baby anti-inflammatory and anti-fever pills. When the female wolf left the den, Ning Shu placed the baby in the den. He then stood guard not far away. If the female wolf hurt the baby, Ning Shu would have to kill her. When the female wolf returned, she saw an unknown creature in the den. Her nose kept sniffing the baby's clothes. She even bit the clothes with her mouth. It seemed that she didn't intend to eat the baby. Ning Shu stood guard for a while. Seeing that the female wolf ignored the baby and didn't hurt him, he sighed in relief. That was all he could do. Seeing that it was getting late, Ning Shu decided to go back. When he returned to the cave, he was waiting for Ning Shu. He gave Ning Shu a set of clothes and told her to freshen up and prepare to go to the capital to see his master. Ning Shu took her clothes and went to the stream to take a bath. She put on her clothes and was given a set of women's clothes. She looked very capable. After tying her hair into a ponytail with a rope, Ning Shu bent down to look at the water. He wanted to see what the original owner of the body looked like. She was very ordinary. Her appearance was not good. Her facial features were very ordinary. She was not eye-catching at all in a crowd. After tidying up, Ning Shu returned to the cave. He took Ning Shu to the capital. It took more than half a day just to get out of the deep forest. Ning Shu felt lucky. Fortunately, she didn't take the baby out of the forest to find him. How far did she have to go? Out of the forest, there was a man leading 2 horses on the side of the road. When he saw Yi and Ning Shu coming, he gave the horses to Yi. He gave a horse to Ning Shu. Then the 2 of them quickly went in the direction of the capital. When they arrived at the city gate, Yi got off the horse. Seeing that Ning Shu was still sitting on the horse, he said coldly, "Get off. Don't ride into the city. It's easy to attract attention." Ning Shu got off the horse and followed into the city. The capital was very prosperous. There were all kinds of shops and stalls. The people on the street were very particular about their clothes. Ning Shu held the sword in his arms and followed Yi to the backyard of the 3rd prince's residence. He entered from the backyard. He was too vigilant. Ning Shu silently remembered it in his heart. The housekeeper told Yi and Ning Shu that the 3rd prince was receiving a guest and asked them to wait for a while. Yi turned to Ning Shu and asked, "Do you know how to salute when you see the master? Fist salute, knee bend, or directly kneel on the ground?" Ning Shu shook his head. He didn't know. "Kneel on one knee and fist salute," Yi said. Wasn't this the posture of a proposal? The housekeeper came out and asked Ning Shu to go in. He didn't go in and asked Ning Shu to go in by himself. Ning Shu tidied his clothes and walked into the room. "Oh my, I'm a little nervous." As soon as he walked into the room, he saw a man and a woman at the desk. They seemed to be drawing something. When Ning Shu saw the 2 of them, he felt that his eyes were about to be healed. Because the 2 of them were really too beautiful. The woman leaned on the desk, bent over and supported her chin with her hand, watching the man write something. What an immortal couple. Chapter 476. The 2 of them didn't pay any attention to Ning Shu, and Ning Shu tactfully didn't say anything, standing in the corner and observing the 2 of them. The man should be the 3rd prince, Xian Hongyu. Xian Hongyu's hair was tied up with a jade hairpin. He wore a white brocade robe with wide sleeves, and when he held a brush, he had a certain charm to him. His eyebrows slanted to his temples, his facial features were exquisite, and his lips were the color of cherry blossoms. His beauty was like jade, and the prince was unparalleled. Truly a peerless beauty. Ning Shu grinned. He looks like a normal person now, but who knows when his possessiveness will act up. He has an obsession and emotion towards Shangguan Qingro that normal people can't understand, an extreme possessiveness. The people he has his eyes on are also quite pitiful. Ning Shu looked at Shangguan Qingro. Her eyebrows were curved, her mouth was small, her skin was soft, and her eyes had a hint of craftiness. Shangguan Qingro's body had a sense of freedom, different from the noble ladies trapped in the backyard. This was a kind of freedom that came from the soul. This was the straightforward and unpretentious Shangguan Qingro. Ning Shu felt that the person who transmigrated to Shangguan Qingro shouldn't be too old. After she transmigrated, She obtained happiness and was pursued by the princes who were like dragons and phoenixes among men. In the end, she became the empress who was doted on by everyone. Shangguan Qingrou is a very beautiful woman, but Ning Shu imagined her dancing on horseback, then singing modern pop songs, and felt disillusioned. Fine, maybe this is very special to these nobles. Ning Shu wanted to know, a man and woman alone in a room, this isn't good for Shangguan Qingrou's reputation. Other women care a lot about their reputation, but Shangguan Qingrou doesn't care, and the man who likes her also doesn't care. Like the fifth prince, he often visits her at night. Ning Shu stood there motionless like a wooden stake. Xian Hongyu put down his brush. Shangguan Qingrou looked at the drawing paper. How can I be this ugly? You drew me too ugly. You're not ugly. I can't draw your beauty. Xian Hongyu was not angry at Shangguan Qingrou's words. Shangguan Qingrou pouted, picked up a pen and drew a cartoon version of Xishuan Hongyu, saying, "This is what I call good-looking, isn't it cute?" Xian Hongyu laughed involuntarily. How can there be such a big head and such a small body? This is a comic. Shangguan Qingrou bared her teeth at Xian Hongyu, looking very cute. Just tell me if it looks good or not. Nice, nice. Xian Hongyu smiled, making him look even more charming. Originally, Shangguan Qingrou had already been charmed by him, but because of Xian Hongyu's sickly nature, she could not take it anymore. You only belong to me. You can only see me in your eyes. You are not allowed to go out with other men. If you are disobedient, I will punish you. Moreover, this kind of punishment and harm was serious, not just a verbal threat. Xian Hongyu seemed to have just noticed Ning Shu and waved at her. Ning Shu walked over, knelt down on one knee and clasped her fist. Master. Shangguan Qingrou looked at Ning Shu, her eyes glanced at Ning Shu's face, then moved away. Qingrou, this shadow guard is for you, have her protect you. Xian Hongyu told Shangguan Qingrou. Shangguan Qingrou didn't seem to like Ning Shu as a shadow guard. I don't need a shadow guard, having one by my side makes me feel uncomfortable. She will only protect you from the shadows. When you run into danger, she will come out to save you. You like to play, so you might run into danger. Xian Hongyu turned around. Ning Shu coldly asked, "What's your name?" Ning Shu. 11, Ning Shu answered. 11 can protect you when you run into danger. Having a female shadow guard by your side is also convenient. Xian Hongyu touched the jade pendant on his waist and told Shangguan Qingrou. Shangguan Qingrou pouted and didn't say anything. Xian Hongyu's narrow eyes flashed a bit. Ning Shu felt that Xian Hongyu might be angry, so he called Shangguan Qingrou, Lady Shangguan. From now on she is your master. Protect her well and obey her every command. Do you understand? Xian Hongyu said to Ning Shu coldly and majestically. This subordinate will remember. Ning Shu lowered his head and said. Shangguan Qingrou could only accept Ning Shu as her shadow guard. Shangguan Qingrou felt stifled, but Ning Shu felt even more stifled. She was supposed to protect Shangguan Qingrou. Why is she so unwelcomed? When Shangguan Qingrou left, she was a bit unhappy. Xian Hongyu didn't say anything, only gave Ning Shu a meaningful look. Ning Shu didn't understand this look. What does it mean? Ning Shu saw Shangguan Qingrou leave and quickly followed. After leaving the prince's estate, Shangguan Qingrou stopped and turned around to face Ning Shu. Thank you for protecting me, but I don't like people following me around and interfering with me. Ning Shu took a few steps back and said, Lady Shangguan, you go first. I definitely won't appear in front of you again. Just look at her, an ancient boudoir girl who didn't even bring a maidservant with her when she went out. It was really dangerous. Shangguan Qingrou didn't even have the strength to truss a chicken. What if she was captured and dragged away by someone? Maybe the next time Xian Hongyu sees Shangguan Qingrou, it'll be at Yihong Court. Bringing a maid with you is also a sign of your status. It makes people not dare to be impudent. Secondly, it's better to avoid suspicion. Shangguan Qingrou stomped her feet gloomily, but the way she stomped her feet made her look very delicate. Ning Shu followed Shangguan Qingrou to the Ministry of Rights official's estate. He climbed over the wall and squatted on a tree in front of Shangguan Qinrou's embroidery building. The leaves were very thick, blocking Ning Shu's figure. The caterpillar on the leaf next to Ning Shu felt very bitter. Why is the shadow guard so miserable? After flicking the caterpillar away, Ning Shu sat on the tree branch and began to practice his ultimate martial arts. He had to practice it. With the original owner's skills, he was still a bit lacking. In the plot, he ran to the palace to save people. Instead of saving them, he was shot into a hornet's nest. As he practiced, Ning Shu observed the entire Ministry of Rights officials' estate. Shengguan Qingro was very favored in the estate. She was the daughter of the first wife and was very likable. Even the Ministry of Rights official treated her very well. Ning Shu felt that the Ministry of Rights official was willing to see his daughter interact with the third prince. Even if the third prince couldn't become the emperor in the future, he would still be a prince with a high position. In a situation where there was already an heir, it wouldn't be easy for the third prince and the fifth prince to become the emperor. However, Ning Shu knew that the crown prince was just cannon fodder. In the plot, he was also very interested in Shengguan Qingro. He had people kidnap Shengguan Qingro and planned to force himself on her. Alright, Shengguan Qingro was very charming. In the end, the crown prince was forced to step down. Then came the battle between the third prince and the fifth prince, Xian Shaotian. Xian Shaotian had luck on him. Xian Hongyu couldn't beat him. Furthermore, Xian Hongyu hurt Shengguan Qingro so much. You hurt the female lead so much and you still want to succeed? Keep dreaming. Ning Shu could only sigh silently.